Hello, everybody. Welcome to Rage and Love, where we passionately debate, explore, and review topics about religion, science, history, and current events. It's been a really hard week for a lot of people in America. There's so much fear, hate, uncertainty, sadness. So today, we want to bring you a little bit of seriousness, but also a little bit of fun. Firstly, let me welcome Joseph. Hello,
Hey,
fellow
what's going on? As always,
co-host.
yeah, it should
So
be an interesting show. I'm excited.
yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be serious at time, but I hope that we all have a good laugh as well. We're gonna be diving into the quirks, contrast, and common ground between two neighbors that share a border, but sometimes couldn't be more different. On one side, we have Team Canada, where hockey is a religion, and sorry is practically a punctuation mark. And on the other side, Team USA, where handball is called football, fries come supersized, and freedom is always spelled in all caps. All right, enough with the stereotypes. Today, we are also tackling the big stuff: social justice, healthcare, LGBTQ rights, gun laws, politics, religion. But don't worry, there's plenty of room to debate who's got the best snacks or the best sports league. So buckle up, or as our Canadian friends might say, get comfy. I
Oh,
don't even know if I said that right. Sorry.
you're gonna get some shit on that.
I'm sure I am. So we're gonna find out whether we are two peas in a pod or two very different plates in the global potluck. So firstly, we have Justin from Skeptic Spin, who everybody might know. I was on his show a little bit back with Brentley Punker Postate. Hey Justin, how you doing?
Good, good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. We're hanging in there.
Yeah, hey, welcome, Justin.
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm super excited.
Us too. And then our second guest, also from Canada, Jason Freer from BAHA or the Blue Water Atheists, Humanists, and Agnostics. Welcome to the stage.
Hello.
Yeah,
Good
hey,
evening.
welcome.
So we're happy to have you both, guys. First of all, before we get started, let's do a little bit of an intro on your own. Like, where can we find you guys, or what do you do? Let's start with you, Jason.
Well, I'm on the socials, so you can find me at Facebook or Instagram. Also on Blue Sky now. Just search my name. It's Jason Freer at all of them. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. What about you, Justin? I think Pragmatic Crystal already
I was going to
posted your
say the most
links in
pragmatic of
the
all the
yeah.
crystals has already exposed me to the internet in the chat. But
Awesome,
my
awesome.
primary channel is Skeptic Spin or at Skeptic Spin here on YouTube. I also have some other little social media links as well. But primarily speaking, I'm all about the YouTubes. Everything else right now is I'm not as active on there perhaps as I should be. But I'm gonna have to get the hang of using some of the like the
Do you have any?
what's that
Yeah.
new one? Blue Sky. I gotta get
Yeah,
using
Blue
that Blue
Sky.
Sky more.
Oh
I'm on
yeah.
there, but I haven't even tried it. I did sign up for an account, but yeah, I'm not even. To me, it's. I've heard it's very similar to X, but I
It is.
haven't been on there.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same like layout.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you have any upcoming cool guests, Justin, coming up on your show?
Um. Well,
Oh, you
right
have.
now, yeah, right now I've been doing like video series with Secular Rarity.
I saw both of
Um.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, where we're just doing these like silly little top 5 lists, and
Those
they're
are
going
pretty
all
fun.
right, and they're a lot of fun. And in a way, I kind of like it. I don't know. Live streaming is great because it's kind of easy. I'm not saying that it's like lazy, right? It's still work, right? Like organizing people and getting shows together and just figuring out topics and things like that. But um, it's definitely easier than doing like just a video. But on the other hand, you know, Secular Rarity and I could sit down for an afternoon and record like a handful of videos, and then I can casually edit them through the week or whatever, and then just release. Um, so I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try to do a little bit of both if I can get to that habit of releasing video with live streams.
Yeah, that's how I got started too. I would just record a whole morning and do like, I don't know, 5 or 6 different videos and then post them throughout the next 2 weeks. But they have a really, both of them have their benefits. Like the live streams bring you more viewers, more watch hours, help you reach those goals. But then the recorded videos are like a lot of fun and like more laid back and yeah. Question: is SR still locked up in that box? Do you have him in the attic or the basement?
Yes. I'm not gonna hide it. Yes, he's still locked up in the box.
All right.
I've
Make
got
sure
him
you
some better
give him some
food though. The carrots aren't as limp anymore. And
the carrots. Yeah, I
yeah.
remember he likes carrots. Yeah,
yeah, and I gave him some paper towel to like make his own little bed with. So he seems happy.
We might hear
It's
that
very
loud
low
banging.
maintenance. I'm very happy.
Low
with him.
maintenance.
Yeah. If I try to leave the house, my dog loses her shit. She wants to come. She wants to come for the truck ride. She wants to get in. SR never bothers me. He's fine.
just throw in some French fries in there and he'll be good.
Yeah.
Speaking of, we are renaming them American fries, Freedom fries. Case closed. So, Jason, what would you say is the most Canadian food?
The most Canadian food. That's a lot of people would probably say poutine, but that's not Canadian across the country. Like not everybody it's mostly, well, it was developed in Quebec, I guess, right? It's a Quebec thing, but it's slowly taken off across the country. Other than that, food wise, coffee.
Coffee. You can live off coffee then. Yeah.
Canadian coffee's a food. We just pour milk in a bowl and eat it like oatmeal.
Well, good news for you. Actually, the coffee bean is not a bean; it's a berry. So it's fruit juice. So it's a food.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a hot
There you go.
fruit juice. It's basically a warm smoothie.
Exactly. We just renamed the whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
There you
actually,
go.
my Discord channel is pretty funny because I'll always throw like Canadianisms onto the Discord because I love the reaction from my American friends on there. Like most recently, so it's probably everyone's probably heard the whole bagged milk thing already, right?
No, I haven't. No.
No, what's that?
Like our milk in Ontario, you buy it in a bag. It comes in a bag, not in a
Okay.
not in
No
a
idea.
You can get it in a carton, but if you want a large amount of milk, it comes in 3 1-liter bags. And
Interesting.
yeah, so
Inside of another bag.
inside of another bag, yeah,
Oh.
so it's like 3 bags inside of 1 bag. And then on my Discord recently, I posted that I had just bought like chocolate milk in a bag.
Wow.
So
Are they like refillable bags or are just like
no, they're just
disposable
sealed
sold
plastic
bags?
tubes
Wow.
that filled with milk, and you put the bag inside a jug and you clip the corner off and you pour it out of the
Pour it
bag.
out. Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's-
It's really funny. There's some great YouTube videos where you can watch Americans trying to figure out how the bag works. And they always cut the bag and then try to pour the contents of the bag into the jug. But it's like, no, the bag is meant to go in the jug. Like a garbage bag would go in a can.
So you put the bag.
Wow,
Wow.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, thank you for that because I probably would have cut it and like spilled the whole thing.
Oh, that's why the videos are funny. They always spill it.
Yeah, I would say cut the corner and then let it pour into the jar. I mean, that's what I would try to do. But
Yeah.
it's
No,
interesting.
Yeah. But a lot of people think it's a Canadian thing. But then in reality, it's like an Ontario Quebec thing. Ontario and Quebec are very different than the rest of the country, just flat out. We do everything weird and different than the rest of the country does.
So you're saying they're the Florida of America?
I don't know if I would say that.
not that weird.
I would say it's
Not
more
that
like
bad.
maybe we're the Texas of like the Texas of Canada. The
All right,
Florida
all right.
of America would be like Newfoundland.
We probably have the best weather.
Yeah.
With are you both in the same general area or
I'm a couple hours south of Justin.
okay?
Well, you're in America, right, Jason?
Almost there.
Almost.
Oh, I thought you were. I thought you lived in America.
No.
Oh, okay. You couldn't possibly be a couple hours south of me without being in America.
Well, okay, I'm west. How about that? Which is sort of southwest.
Okay, so you're like Windsor,
Like,
Yeah, down near Windsor.
Chatham.
Yeah, just
I've been to
outside.
Vancouver. That's the only area I know.
I've traveled to pretty much. Well, I've been to every major city in Canada, and I've traveled to just about every small town in my province and most of Quebec. I've driven every square inch of our Trans-Canada Highway, and I've even been to Canada's Arctic Circle. So there
Well,
isn't
it is
many
beautiful.
places.
I'm sure it's like most of the spots you're mentioning are probably. I mean, the landscape. Where we drove to Vancouver, we drove from Seattle all the way into Canada, and just like the landscape when we got into Canada was beautiful.
Yeah, out there with the Rockies and stuff in the background is pretty amazing. Driving through them is even more crazy, especially if you do it in the middle of winter, the middle
Oh
of the
yeah, I
night.
wouldn't even
It's
want to
like,
try that.
yeah.
yeah, well, we went. It was snowing.
It
Remember?
was snowing
It
though,
was.
yeah, and
It was like New Year's.
I'm a Texan. I don't drive in the snow. I was like, oh shit.
We made it. We made it.
Yeah, and then I have a crazy story I could tell about coming back across the border, but because
Go for it. What was it?
when I had all those edibles with me, and I was like, oh shit, we should get across the border pretty quick. So I went ahead and ate all of them before we got up to the border guard, and then we were sitting in line for like 2 hours. And by the time I got to the border crossing, I was like, I was out of my mind. I was like, oh shit.
The paranoia was setting in, and
Yeah,
It's like
I
a
remember.
secret
I
group
remember. Yeah, I remember when that law came into effect and all the temporary signage that came up around my area, because I literally am like right next to the border. And so everywhere you drive is all of these temporary construction signs reminding everybody that marijuana is still illegal in America. Like,
They
don't come to the
come
border
across the
with
border
weed
with
in
it.
your car. Yeah, yeah.
so let's see. Canadians are, mostly known for being polite and kind, but is that?
Sorry for that.
And I would like to also apologize for that one Canadian who isn't very nice. His name is Steve. We don't like Steve. Steve's a dick.
We don't speak of Steve.
No, he's that
Well, my
one.
question was like, is that legitimate, or how much of it is it just like trying to make Americans look like complete assholes by comparison?
I mean, Canadians will get mad like anybody. Like, we're not pushovers, but most of the stereotypes I would say are pretty accurate, actually. Like, I know stereotypes aren't really a good thing, but most of the stereotypes that I see are actually pretty real. For example, you may have heard this one: bumping into somebody in a crowded space, right?
Hmm.
If you bump into somebody, normally the person who got bumped would be the first one to be like, oh, sorry. And I find that to be very realistic. If I'm standing in a grocery store and someone bumped into me, I'd probably would turn and apologize to them for being like in the way. So like that's one I find to be quite real. And the whole I'm sorry thing, definitely everyone's always with the I'm sorry. Sometimes to a point where you're like, just stop with the I'm sorries, please.
Like very apologetic about everything.
Yeah.
Do
I'm
you
a
think
teacher,
it's
so
like
I constantly have my students like going off and, oh, I'm sorry. It's like, okay, relax. Like, it's gonna be fine.
But do you guys think it's like a respect thing? Like, do other people not behave like Americans, where they think that they're better than everybody? Like, you guys think that you're just like everybody else, and so that everybody deserves the same respect? And when you're out there, you're like, hey, I'm sorry that I was in your way.
No,
I would
I
say
think
that's probably the case.
You think so? I think you're giving us too much credit. I think we just want everybody
Mhm.
to like us.
Okay.
Like,
So deep down, you're assholes, but it's like
It's a facade, right? You're really assholes underneath.
I mean, it can be, but like, yeah, we would like our first impression to be that like you'll like us. But if you go too far, then the disrespect will go out the window, or respect will go out the window pretty quick.
Don't piss off the nice people.
Yeah.
Jason, you owe Bray an apology for her being late.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
There you go, official.
Bree, please forgive me. I'll never let it happen again.
And speaking of assholes, does your prime minister ever get into Twitter feuds like our leader, or do you leave that kind of diplomacy just to American leadership?
Uh,
Have you?
to
Do
be
you get
honest,
that
I don't.
like public?
If he
I
does,
have never seen anything like that. No,
yeah.
no.
Yeah, same. Like,
No.
I mean, I wouldn't say I keep up with politics too much for Canada, but like normally you will see that kind of stuff publicly uh, published, right? And like I've never seen that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Every 24 hours has a news cycle, and everyone's trying to win that news cycle. And right now, Trump is just going to be an instant winning of that 24-hour news cycle. Every day, we're going to get a new headline. No matter what news feed you're watching, the headline might vary slightly, but it'll be about pretty much the same thing. So if our prime minister were to tweet something that was noteworthy of winning a news cycle, I'd be pretty shocked,
yeah.
honestly.
So basically, he's never done anything worse than our leader.
I mean,
That's where we are.
he's got the blackface thing, which is kind of cringe, and like he's
Yeah, I
apologized
remember when
for
that
a
came
lot.
out. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's I mean, we're all humans, and we all and if you dig deep enough onto anybody, you'll probably find something that isn't too appetizing about who they are or whatever. But
What was the reason for him wanting for him to resign though? Just because he felt his popularity or his numbers were dropping too much?
I don't know. What do you think, Jason?
I think it's probably. It's tough to say, really. I mean,
Yeah, that would be like a question for him, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I
kind
guess
of,
so.
yeah.
We have to have an election by this October. My only guess is that the Trump thing got so out of hand so super fast that he just went, you know what, I better just get the F out of the way so somebody can come in and cover now. Right?
So he doesn't have to
Like,
deal with it, basically.
yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
he
I mean,
wasn't
it's smart. If you ask me, it's smart. Because
he wasn't sitting in a great spot. He really wasn't. Like, people are kind of over him at this point and ready. I don't think I have anything personally wrong with him. Like, I really don't have any big issues with Trudeau at this stage and anything that he's done up till now. But I am of the minority. Most people are pretty much over him at this point. It's been like 10 years or something, 9 years. My only guess would be that his party went, Justin, we have to have an election by October. It'd be kind of silly for you to have to stick handle all this Trump stuff for a few months to have someone else come in fresh and have to learn all over again. Like, maybe best to just get out of the way now.
So do y'all have term limits for it? Because you said 9 years that he's been holding that position.
I don't know. Do we have term limits?
I don't think we do.
I don't think we do.
Okay.
No. But we do have so you do have to call an election after a certain amount of time or when you're ready. So like Trudeau's second term, when he won his second term, it was probably the most brilliant move he ever did. It was right in the middle of COVID after he gave everybody $2,000 a month.
So everybody's happy. Yeah.
Right? So he's like, let's do an election. Boom. Trudeau wins. Like, duh.
But you guys have 5 different parties, right? You don't have like the 2-party system like we have here, what is like Democrat and Republican. You have more
Right.
parties than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you say that one of the conservative parties, or the most conservative, will it compare to the conservatives in America, or are they more watered down?
They're a little watered down, but it's getting to be quite similar.
Yeah. I was explaining this to my mom just yesterday. I was saying that like our most conservative person, which is Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the Conservative Party right now. Even he is probably closer to center if he was America, honestly. He definitely has some ideas that are way wrong and disgusting, especially when regarding gender. But for the most part, he's on most every other topic, he's pretty much still pretty center leaning compared to the
To what
far
we have,
right
yeah.
of America. Yeah.
That's
Yeah, and he's also most likely going to be our next prime minister. However, because we have a multi-party system, doesn't necessarily mean he's going to have much power. And don't forget, our prime minister is not the same as a president.
Yeah.
A prime minister is just a representative to us. They don't have this executive power to just sit down and sign off on orders and stuff, right? So it's not
Does
as
anyone
big a
in the
deal.
government on your side have that type of power? Or
No.
yeah, see, it's a scary thing with America's system, to give one person that much power, and especially the immunity that our Supreme Court has pretty much said the president holds. It's scary.
so the monarchy doesn't even have that type of power over, like, say, Canada or other countries that they.
Legally, they do.
But they don't.
They know if they tried to flex it, we would then just go, we don't care what you say, and then we want to separate. So for the tradition of it, they just leave us alone because they like the whole like camaraderie of it, if you will. So legally, they have a right to like technically veto and say, nope, we're doing it this way. Difference is that Canada would be like, yeah, but we're not going to listen to you, so you guys can leave now. So if they want to stay part of it, they have to just basically go along with it. If they want the Queen to stay on our money, then shut up and just be quiet. That's basically how it goes.
Do you think that, okay, Trump has made these suggestions that, of making Canada the 52nd state and all of that? Would it even be beneficial to the monarchy, to Canada, to anybody other than America?
I can't see any benefit for us.
I mean,
we're
what do
gonna
you
bring
think,
out
Jason?
backwards.
I don't see a benefit to anybody. Because first of all, why would Trump want that? Why would he want to adopt 30 million blue voters? Why?
That is
a Republican Party would never win again. It's just, other than maybe Alberta goes red. That's it. Like,
hey, please be the 52nd state then for us.
Right.
Y'all can save us.
Secondly, your gun laws, no thanks. You can have them. I think you'd be hard pressed to find a Canadian that would truly like those kind of laws. I remember being in a gun debate with a fellow Canadian, with an American moderator, and the debate topic was turned more into the amount of regulation on the guns. He didn't agree with the way some guns were categorized. Like, we've all heard the terrible name, the AR-15. He didn't like how it was categorized. It's categorized as this certain type of weapon or whatever, and he feels like it's overhyped. It's not as bad as everyone says it is. Shouldn't be categorized there. And we were basically debating over regulation of the guns when our American moderator went, wait a minute, you guys aren't arguing over whether or not you should or shouldn't have guns. You're arguing over what level of craziness a certain weapon is. And we're just like, yeah. Like, don't you think everyone should just have a right to own a gun if they want? And the guy I was debating against was like, no, that would be stupid. Like, he's like, no, you shouldn't. Everyone just have a right to buy a gun. That would be dumb.
Yeah, I mean, America seems to have like a really big obsession with guns. Like, Joe and I were watching this. Was it British? Right? I think it was a British TV show.
Yeah, series.
And so yeah, it was a series, and it was like a crime series, right? And they have like the detective trying to figure out a case, and always going into the bad guys, and not even the bad guys had guns.
Yeah,
it was like,
even the police there don't care.
Yeah, every time they got into like a bad situation, I'm like, where are their guns at? Where are their guns?
They had like a knife or like a bat or some type of like minor weapon, but it wasn't like, nobody even had a handgun until like, I think like 10 episodes in. There
like
was
the
like
very,
one
very
of the
end,
detectives that brought out a gun, and we were pretty shocked. We started talking about that, like, yeah, like, I mean, even in other countries, like my parents live in Switzerland, and when we've gone there, we've talked about the gun situation, and if you want to own a gun in Switzerland, you have to go through the military. Unless you've been through the military, you can't own a gun. So you have to have some type of like very official training. Like in America, it's just like you go to Walmart and
You want a
you buy
gun?
your gun.
Here.
Yeah.
Guns for
It's-
everybody.
So how does that compare in Canada, Jason? Do you have any insight on that? Like, is there can you just like buy them on a store, or like what kind of laws do you have?
We can buy like hunting rifles at specific stores, but there is huge what's the word I'm looking for? You need specific training in order to do it. You need licensing and
Yes,
Yeah,
or
Do they have
regulations.
do you have background checks
absolutely.
when you try to
very
purchase a
strict
gun?
regulations. Yeah.
Oh, it's
But
more than
it's hard to
background
find them
checks.
in a store too. Like you have to go to a specialty store.
Okay, yeah, here it is like Walmart,
Depending on
like
the
the
ti-
grocery store, pretty much.
Yeah, depending on the style of weapon you want to own, even it's more than just background checks. It can be like unannounced inspections.
Oh wow, I
So
mean
like
that's
if
big.
you own certain styles of weapons, you can have them, but the government reserves the right to show up at any time at your house and say, "Show me where you keep your guns." And if they're not locked in a safe and disassembled and like stored properly, then they'll take your gun. Like, so you can own the AR-15, but you got to have clip size limits. You can't have certain amount of whatever attachments, and they have to be stored and locked. So even if you think about your gun being as a self-defense weapon, it's under so many lock and keys. You'll never get it out in time to like defend
Yeah.
yourself.
Well, one of the
anyways.
arguments that Americans have in terms of when we start talking about gun regulations would be saying that over-regulating like that is going to basically still allow thieves and the bad people to purchase weapons on the black market. Do y'all seem to have an issue with black market sales, or where people can get guns like without going through the proper channels?
I know there are some out there, but it's
Yeah.
rare, super rare.
This is actually a really fun question because our illegal gun market, you know where it comes from?
America.
America.
Yeah, but
So the whole tighten your borders because the 25 pounds of fentanyl that came over that one Tuesday, we don't want that.
Yeah, how many
But
guns
the
came across?
thousands of illegal weapons that cross over the U.S. to Canada. So here's how it works, and I can tell you that for Australia, for example, this is exactly their experience when they had their big like that's enough, no one's allowed to have guns anymore. When they did the big government buyback and basically threw them all in a trash compactor. Here's what happens. When a gun becomes hard to get, they become expensive. And it gets to a point where like, sure, there's always going to be an outlier, a thief or a criminal that gets their hands on a weapon. But the reality is that like an assault rifle in Australia is something like 6,000 Australian dollars now to get your hands on a weapon like that. And you'd have to be one heck of a really good criminal to get that kind of money to buy a weapon like that.
yeah, and if the weapons are not readily available to begin with, then
And the
you
ammunition
have
is
less
also
supply.
not available.
Yeah,
Right.
true.
Right, you have a lot less supply for that. Yeah, that
Yeah.
completely makes sense. And what about like, one of the things that we deal with here in America is like public mass shootings or like school shootings. But I mean, as far as I know, that's a very very American thing. But being that you guys also get a lot of, like you said, illegal weapons and all that, do you see that? Have you seen that increase up there?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Canada in 2024 had less than 400 shootings, period. Never mind mass shootings. 400 injuries from weapons compared to America's 40,000.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I bet. Yeah, the
So even if
numbers,
we take
like-
into the account the like fact that America's population is 10 times that of Canada's, I still say that's a pretty significant result.
But I wonder how mental health could affect those numbers as well, because a lot of the shootings that occur here in the U.S., even though it involves a gun, I think a lot of the times it's mental underlying issues that cause people to probably go on these shooting sprees and so forth. And I'm assuming you guys have a much better mental health access than we do here in the United States. Here, trying to find to get help with your mental health, like seeing a psychiatrist and so forth, is like so hard. What type of access do you guys have to psychiatrists, or if you need someone to evaluate your mental health? Do y'all have access to that, like fairly simple through your healthcare system?
There's access, but there's a long wait. You can wait at like 25 days, or even some people wait up to 6 months to get psychological help.
Wow, that's
Okay.
kind of
You can-
similar here.
You can go the
That-
private route too, though, and just pay like
Yeah.
your $80 and just get.
Okay.
But you said 25 days. Okay.
That's
When-
typical rate to get
Even-
the mental health.
even
Yeah.
here, when we had insurance and we were trying to seek help for our kids for OCD, which we were having quite an emergency at the time, I would say it was pretty urgent, and the shortest wait was like 12 months.
Yeah, to be able to get him into a psychiatrist.
So we ended up doing what you said, and we paid out of pocket to see somebody sooner.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, like one of the complaints that people always talk about when you're like, well, other countries have free healthcare and public healthcare, and they have a pretty good system. And they're like, well, but you gotta wait so long. But even the comparison that we just made, the wait is not even.
It also depends on the
Okay.
situation too, though. Like if you're talking about you want to have someone for a regular, like a monthly appointment, then sure, you're probably going to wait to find a spot with a proper psychiatrist to have regular sessions. But if you find yourself in a hospital or having like a crisis, you'll get to access to one right away. Someone will come and sit and talk with you and work things out. Like,
Okay.
so yeah, we deal on a triage basis, right? So if you're just looking for therapy or something like that, then the waiting list might be a little longer. But if you were just admitted to an ER because you tried to hurt yourself, you'll get access a lot sooner. Like someone will come sit and have a talk with you to at least evaluate your current state.
Yeah, based on
They're
the
not going to
urgency.
make you
Yeah.
sit 6 months before they figure that out.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I would say even that sounds a little bit different than our experience with emergency mental health care. It was just like either we admit you into like the mental psychiatric hospital, or just go home and wait for your appointment. It was kind of like the two options that they gave us.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys have a little bit better system in terms of handling that. But I think
Yeah.
we're going to talk in a little bit. I wanted to discuss in a little bit the differences between between our healthcare systems, basically between America.
Oh, you
and
guys
Canada.
have one?
Exactly.
We have sick care. We have sick
care,
care,
yeah.
not
Not-
health.
not
I just want to
preventive.
address someone in the chat here, the Fern Love Band.
Oh, yeah, go
where
for
They
it.
mentioned that like the right wing talking point of shootings and mental health. I think there's definitely a cross section between the both. I don't think it's necessarily. The hard right would say it's just a mental health issue. The hard left would say it's a gun issue. I'm saying it's got to be a little both, because I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
I could probably enjoy an afternoon of shooting a gun, but I'd have to be some kind of off my cracker to want to hurt someone.
Yeah.
Like that kind of pain to cause to anybody, you've got to have a little bit of some kind of mental issues. That doesn't to me, that doesn't mean that like, oh, the issue is mental health, leave the guns alone. I'm saying that like you got to look at both.
Oh
of these
yeah,
things.
I think he was more like saying like the ones who go on a violent rampage. Like
Yeah.
there's gotta be, like you said, a mix of both. Like
Yeah. I don't even know how
Um,
people in the
yeah.
military do it. Like, I don't know how someone can go to the army and get sent to some country and get handed a gun and said, okay, now like get ready. When these people come over a hill, it's open fire. Like, I don't know how they can do it.
Yeah.
I don't. If conscription ever opened up in our country and I got drafted, I'd just be like, lock me up. I'm not shooting anybody.
I couldn't do it either. I agree with you 100%
You
on
get
that.
trained to dehumanize the other people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess you want to stay alive too, so you get thrown into a war zone, you're gonna kill to either kill or be killed, basically. So you learn
yeah,
to
Jason, that's a good point. I was just talking about dehumanizing groups of people with on another show recently. We were talking about sign language, how uh, the conservatives were talking about the sign language interpreters being a distraction in emergency situations on the screen, and it's like it's a way of dehumanizing the entire disabled deaf community in
Correct. Yeah.
order to distract and like make them
Yeah.
seem like they're not as important.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, so I mean, it applies to so many different aspects. Once you dehumanize a whole group of people, then you can have control over them. Or
Yeah.
you can get anyone to do anything to them because they're no longer at your level of human, I guess you
Right.
could say. But anyways, back to the healthcare system. I know Joe
Sure.
had some questions about that.
I literally
did-
just experienced our healthcare system in action a couple days ago, so it's fresh. Come on. What do you got?
Well, I mean, here, whenever we talk about having government ran healthcare here in the United States, everybody's argument is always, they'll point out Canada, like, do you really want that? You have to wait, months to get any type of, to be
Let's say
seen
if
by a
you need
doctor.
surgery.
If you need surgery, you're gonna be put on a waiting list, and you're gonna have to wait months to get it, to make it happen. Y'all do have the ability, I believe, from what I understand, is if it is an emergency, if it's a surgery that's like a necessity between life and death, that you get moved up to have it done quicker, from what I understand. But most people will say no, that that's not the case, so that's just a lie.
Go ahead, Jason. What do you got first?
I think in a life and death situation, you'll have surgery like pronto. Like, yeah. In an emergency, you have a heart attack, you're go to the hospital ER, and they need to, put stents in or whatever. It's going to happen like soon, like super soon, like within 24 hours or something, right? If you need it, it's going to happen.
I guarantee you there is nobody sitting at home sweating and in like unbearable pain waiting 3 months or 6 months
to
for
have
surgery.
something done. Yeah.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
that doesn't
So
happen.
Yeah,
I
I
had
think
my
that's
goal-
what they
I-
make it.
Go ahead, AJ.
Oh no, I said that's what they make it sound like, like from here from America, like, oh no, like the countries that have, socialized healthcare,
Yeah, man.
they're dying at home or something, and it's like I've never heard of that.
Yeah, no.
That's not happening here. No.
Yeah. It's like when you hear people say, "Oh man, I'm so hungry, I'm gonna starve to death." It's like, no, we've never seen anybody in a first world country actually starve to death. Like that's just not a thing, right?
But yet here we have people dying that can't get healthcare basically here. So I
and
mean,
if they do get the healthcare, they're now in debt for the rest of their life.
exactly,
anyway.
it's going to cost so much because,
Yeah.
like somebody mentioned earlier, it's an industry. It's a healthcare industry here. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not actually for for the people.
So I had my gallbladder removed about like 13, 14 years ago now. And my experience was that like once I was diagnosed with the problem, first of all, so if you've never had that issue, it's like a lot of gut pain, right? And basically what caused it for me was if you eat too much fat or something like that,
Yeah.
your gallbladder will contract and then you get over in pain, right? So once we figured out what the problem was, the doctor was like, okay, no problem. I need you to go check out this specialist. So they're going to look at you a little bit closer. And then you'll come back for another ultrasound before your surgery. And then you'll do your surgery and all of that. And all I had to do, so I had to wait 2 or 3 months before I actually got the surgery. But all I had to do was basically go on like a raw or a low fat diet for a couple of months, like fried fish and brown rice kind of thing, like really, really, really low sodium, low fat, and I could eat fine, no pain, totally live my life. I had to go on black coffee for a while, which I like my cream and sugar, but if I just want my coffee, I can't have the cream. Like the fat would cause pain. But you know what? I just did that for 3 months. I went and saw my specialist. They did the little poke and asked me questions, and then go to the ultrasound right before your surgery and come in and out same day. I went home, no problem.
And no bill.
And no bill. Well, the parking bill, fucking parking. God damn it. But yeah, $6 parking was criminal. Anyways, Yeah, and meanwhile, my aunt, who has a colostomy bag. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but she
Yeah,
has this thing.
familiar with it.
She has to get things changed every once in a while. So she can wait a little bit longer than most people to get that surgery to change things. But again, she just adjusts her diet and she's not in any danger. It's fine. She can continue with whatever attachment she has is for a while if she just maintains or takes some special, a change in her diet for a short little bit. It's not the end of the world. My mother had cancer. She needed surgery. She got surgery. She did not wait for 6 months to get a mastectomy. She got it when she needed it, right when she needed it. Right?
Yeah, see, and that's what Americans need to hear. So I'm actually glad we're having this type of discussion tonight, because they use so many scare tactics and so much disinformation to scare people away from a socialized type healthcare system, which is, it's sad because it could really help so many people here in America that really need healthcare. Before we had the ACA that came out, the Affordable Healthcare Act. I think I said it wrong, but that Obama, and the Democrats brought up. AJ has a ton of health issues, and before that, I mean, we couldn't get insurance, we couldn't afford it, and once we were able to get insurance through that, when Obama brought that, into existence, I mean, it helped so much. And now again, with Trump back in office, like his first 4 years, he tried to destroy it. Again, I feel that they're going to go after it again, especially pre-existing conditions. How does it work there in terms of pre-existing conditions? I'm assuming everybody
Well, you
has
don't
healthcare.
really.
Everyone has healthcare, so you're getting screened for things. So I guess
Yeah.
you really don't have an issue with that. We have people here that haven't had
Yeah.
health insurance or any type of coverage, so they live with these conditions for years, and then it gets so severe where they have to try to seek treatment, and then they can't get insurance because it's so severe at that point.
Yeah, I not too long ago I got mail. It's like, hey, it's time for your colon cancer screening. So I had to
They
fill out
offer
some
it to
forms.
you.
Yeah, the
I filled out
preventive
some
screening
forms. They
stuff.
sent me a kit. I did it at home, sent it back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it's all clear. It's all good.
yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, right? Like our hospitals are still businesses. They just get paid from a different avenue, right? So they send Jason this letter saying, "Hey, you got to come in and get your tires kicked and your belts checked," right? So of course they want him to come in because they'll get paid for doing the tests and doing the checks. You see?
Yeah, but
And
it's
then
already paid by the government, so it's like
yeah, but
you
we
don't.
pay our taxes. It's
Yeah.
not
so
really free,
Yeah, it comes
right?
out of your tax payment, right? So
Right.
how
Yeah.
much would you say that you would pay annually then? Do you have to put in, does everybody pay in the same, or is it based on your income for
It's
each
not.
individual?
I don't.
It doesn't come off
I'm
your
sure.
taxes like
I'm
this is
sure.
your
Yeah.
healthcare tax. It's not. It
There's.
just comes out of your
Yeah.
tax. It's
It
probably
works
one
out.
of the. Sorry,
I
go
think
ahead.
it
Jason.
works out to around $9,000 per person annually is what our health system costs.
Okay. Which is, I mean, it seems sustainable if it's, yeah. How long have y'all had that type of system?
Since the 70s.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, since Trudeau's dad. Trudeau's dad put it
Okay.
there. Yeah, actually, that's one of the funnier myths that I hear. So we've recently heard Trump say Canada should be the 51st state, and as soon as they become the 51st state, their taxes will drop significantly. Listen, I've done the math in my tax bracket, and I would pay 1% less tax in America than what I pay currently now in the tax bracket that I'm in.
So,
If you're
so
in our
you
system.
already pay pretty much the same, and you get like way more benefits.
Benefits,
Right.
Than we
yeah.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the rich people in Canada that would like it because their taxes would drop significantly. Because yeah,
But
those
like the middle class wouldn't really see a difference then.
yeah, the 1%ers in Canada would definitely, they're paying quite a bit of tax. Actually, you know what? Maybe they're paying a little bit much, but yeah, the 1%ers are paying quite a bit of tax. But the middle and the lower class, for I don't know, when I was in that lower class, like the lowest tax bracket you can be in, not too long ago, even that, I got money all the time. The government just money. We got $100 checks in the mail every 3 months, and then the tax season comes around, and I'd get a couple $1,000s back. Like, Yeah.
So they help the lower
tax
class.
credits.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good system. It's becoming more and more attractive.
Yeah. And now we've got the
and then-
carbon tax. You probably heard the horror stories of cut the carbon tax.
No, I have not heard about that. And
That's what the
it's
our whole right wing is running their campaign on is cut the tax, cut the carbon tax. Trudeau's carbon tax is ruining the middle class. It's bullshit. I get checks in the mail from that carbon tax. It doesn't cost me anything. I get money. If the carbon tax is only paid by the actual corporations and stuff. And it's
okay.
another one of those Trump-like lies where it's
Yeah.
like, oh, Canadians can't afford their heat because of the carbon tax. It's like, then explain this $1,000 check I got in the mail from the carbon tax. But,
I could use
yeah.
some checks like that. We never get anything like that here. So
Yeah, just the tax season, and that's about it.
yeah. No, I
Mostly-
literally, as I told you AJ, before we went live, like I've been sick all week. I actually took a couple days off of work, even, and days I'm gonna get paid for, right? No problem. And
Wow. Must be
I
nice.
literally went to a free clinic. So I have a family doctor, but I don't like my family doctor. He's the kind of family doctor where you go in and you just tell him what drug you want, he'll give it to you. He doesn't check anything, and like that's not what I'm not trying to do that. So I just went to a free clinic near me here. Literally walked in. I sat in a waiting room for about 10 minutes. I saw a doctor. I had a prescription, and I was on my way home with my prescription in 30 minutes. The whole thing cost me $3.
Wow. Yeah, here you have to go to like urgent care, which they charge you a little bit less than the emergency room, but it will probably still be like probably close to $1,000 for what you just mentioned at the very least. I mean, I'm being very conservative there, very
yeah.
conservative. Yeah. So it must be
That
nice.
actually, that would be
I was
part
gonna
of the
say that
reason.
it's yeah. What part of it?
I was just gonna say that like part of the reason actually that you hear this myth of it taking so long for people to get to see a doctor and stuff too is because people with running noses going to the ER.
Yeah.
They keep doing that. Don't go to the ER for the runny nose because the ER is going to run on triage. They're going to take the worst. They're going to take the guy vomiting over your runny nose. Like they're going to take the guy with chest pains over the guy vomiting.
Yeah, well, actually, here what I mentioned, urgent care is like lower level than emergency room. It's kind of like a clinic.
Okay.
So, but no, like a hospital emergency room would probably be like 20,000 or something like that.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
But the thing, so
Yeah.
we have issues with that here because there's so many uninsured people. So when someone's kid gets sick or somebody gets sick and they can't afford to go to a regular doctor because they don't have insurance, they'll go to an ER because here ERs can't turn you away even if you can't pay or even if you don't have insurance. But they're just gonna see you, probably not really do anything for you. You're gonna sit there and wait forever, and then they're just gonna let you go. They're gonna tell you that they'll do like the basic vitals and stuff to make sure you're not dying, and then they'll tell you need to go see a regular doctor. So
Wow.
people are just like wasting their time when they do that. But then they're clogging up the ERs for people that really do need to go in as an actual emergency.
There
Yeah.
is a shortage of family physicians here. So there's a lot of people that don't have a family doctor that are forced to go to an ER to get looked at as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I guess.
I literally just left my family doctor to the new one at the free clinic that I went to. I was like, "Can you be my doctor?" He's like, "Sure." So I filled out the paperwork today, and I have my first like doctor appointment on Friday.
To go there.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
simple. So simple.
He'll
I
kick
wish
the
things were like
tires
that
and he'll
here.
stretch the belts and then get a blood test maybe. Off.
Yeah, here you have to find one that's with your insurance. Like
It's got to be
unless-
in network. Yeah. Like we
Yeah.
have all those hurdles that jump through. You got to
That's
get
the part I think I would hate the most. Like we have insurance here too. Like don't get us wrong. We have health insurance, whether we buy it ourselves or provide it through our employers or whatever. But the part that I think would just irk me even more is to have to go to a place that will take my insurance. That's just weird to me.
Yeah. So
yeah, I used to have an endocrinologist that I loved, and I was with her for years. And then my insurance dropped her, so I had to go find somebody else. And I didn't really like the new one that I found, but it was like in my network and in the hospital that I was at best distance with, and all of that. And I was like, crap. So I I stayed with her for a few years, and I'm finally the one that I used to go to is back in my network. So I'm like, yeah, but now I gotta wait like a few months because she's so busy,
Yeah.
and it's like
Like my
it's so
antibiotics that I said
frustrating.
cost me $3 were actually like $10, but my work insurance paid the $7.
Wow.
And I only had to pay
Yeah.
$3, and I could have got the other $3 paid if I would have used my wife's health insurance, which I'm also under, to pay the rest of it. I was just too lazy, and it's only $3. So.
Well, like for us, AJ takes insulin every day, and our plan used to cover the brand that she takes, but
Mhm.
now they don't cover it. So it's like even with like a manufacturer coupon, it's still like $80 a vial, and that's like
For like
$80 a
50
month.
days.
Yeah, for
So
15 days. So she would have to buy that twice a month,
twice.
basically.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it's like,
So I
or
had
she
to
could switch.
change.
Yeah, she could switch to a different insulin, but her body's already so used to that one. But now she's got to get the other insulin approved, and it's just like so many different things that jump through. They just make things so complicated here.
I agree with Fern. Fern says insulin should cost out of $5 a month.
Shouldn't cost you anything.
Yeah,
My
shouldn't.
$5 a month. It
I
shouldn't cost you
mean,
anything.
I hear you guys, and I'm thinking that it must be so nice to be able to visit a hospital without having to calculate how many organs you're gonna have to sell in order to pay for the bill.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's another little, like, I guess a little myth or a little known fact too is our healthcare isn't necessarily universal.
What
For
does that mean?
instance, if I go to a different province in my own country, my health is not covered.
Okay.
I'll
It's
have
by
to
the
pay.
province. Each province
Yeah.
has their own health system. Yeah.
So you have to be like a resident of that province. to
Yeah.
have-
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, for
gotcha.
instance, a couple years ago, I went to Quebec with my mom. I'm French Canadian, so I have family there, and we went and visited some family in Quebec. And they went swimming in the lake, and she broke her toe in the lake. She kicked a rock by mistake, and we could have gone to the hospital there in Quebec. But first of all, it's a broken toe. So anyone here who's ever broken a toe, we already know what the doctor's going to do. Nothing. There's not really a lot you can do, right? You'll do an x-ray to make sure that, there's no clots or some weird things going on. And that's it. You're just going to have a broken toe that's going to heal, right? But the hospital in Quebec would have charged $150 just for my mom to get to see the doctor. Never
Right.
mind get treatment. So we just drove back to Ontario. We just cut our trip short, drove back to Ontario, went to the ER. And again, it's triage at the ER, right? So we waited like probably 3 or 4 hours before she got her x-ray because it's a broken toe. Like
Yeah,
literally,
yeah.
could you think of anything more like, yeah, you have to go, but it's probably the lowest thing on the totem pole next to
Yeah.
the sniffles, frankly.
What about? I was interested in hearing what the difference is, since we're on the topic of healthcare. Excuse me. What is health like women's healthcare like in Canada, like abortion and like anything that has to do with body autonomy, like women getting to choose what they do with their body. Is it the same way that it is here, or do you guys have like more freedoms, like normal places in the world?
It's
What
full
do you think,
access, fully
Jason?
funded.
Yeah.
So it's also covered like under the public healthcare,
Yeah.
like it's not something that you will have to pay out of
No,
pocket or
there's no
something like
extra.
that.
Well, you will pay a little bit. You will
Okay.
pay a little bit. So like elective, which is what that would fall under, you still pay a little bit. But there's different clinics for that. You don't even have to go to the ER and stuff. But yeah, like Jason said, it's like, yeah, it's there. It's affordable. It's easy
Legal.
access. Yeah. But Pierre Poilievre, that's one of the things that I think he'd like to change as well.
So he's the one that you mentioned that could potentially become the prime minister. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. He's not even
Yeah.
potentially. He's going
He's
to be.
falling pretty hard in the polls right now, actually.
Is he?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, there's this woman in the Liberal Party, I think. I forget her name right now, but she was the finance minister, and it looks like she's leaning into it too. And then we got another guy, Carney,
Yeah.
who is another money guy that is just suddenly like, I don't know where the popularity came from. It might have been from his most recent appearance on the Jon Stewart show or the Daily Show, whatever. But like suddenly out of nowhere, everyone's talking about this Carney guy. But anyways, yeah.
He's our savior.
Yeah. Like I said, on the bright side, even if conservatives and Polyev win, it doesn't mean that he's going to have full reign, because we got so many parties in the House that as long as the Conservative Party doesn't own a majority, which is not an easy thing to do, they're not going to get free reign to do whatever they want.
Kind of like here right now, we have the new incoming administration, and then we have the House and the Senate controlled by the same side.
Yeah.
So it's like all to the right, pretty much.
Yeah. The way it works is you vote for the person or the party in your district that you want to win. They get a seat in the House. At the end of when all the seats are handed out, they calculate them all, and whatever party has the most seats, they win, and their party's leader becomes the prime minister, right? So if the Conservative Party has more seats in our House, then Pierre would be their leader, and by default, the prime minister. So we don't even vote the prime minister. We just vote the party for which the views that we lean towards the most or like the best, right? So if we like liberal, then whoever the liberal leader is, that's who the prime minister will be. And they just represent the party. They don't have broad sweeping control to do anything. They can float an idea onto the floor that can be voted on. And if they have a majority with their party, then it's easier to pass things, right? Because it doesn't matter what everyone else in the House wants. If they have a majority, they can pass things a lot easier. But unlike America with just a two-party system, it's not that easy to be a majority.
So do they truly represent like what the people want? Like, for example, in America, as we're seeing, there's so much pushback against the rights of trans people. One of the examples I was thinking of, as far as healthcare, like redefining under the federal government that we only get male and female now, and so this will have major implications for people who are currently undergoing their medical transition. Like, they will no longer have access to that type of medical care if they take away that whole male female. I'm sorry, if they put in that whole male female binary system. Like they're not even thinking about what extent that is going to affect it. So my question is, in Canada, do you see that type of pushback against women's rights, against trans rights, against gay rights? Like, is that so prevalent as it is here, Jason? What are you thinking?
It depends where you are. There are some provinces that are a little bit right-leaning like that, but most of Canada is still very left. Yeah. So like Alberta, they're pushing their conservative stuff over there right now.
That's good to hear. I mean, we hear so many people who are like truly scared for their lives, for their mental health, because we know that trans people who aren't supported in that way have a higher rate of suicides and mental health, as far as depression, because they're not being supported. So I see a lot of people saying, well, I'm going to move to Canada, I'm going to move to wherever they can. I actually have a friend from Argentina who lives here, and she's transgender, and she just moved to, I think, Thailand, because she was thinking, is even anything is going to be better than America. Like, how do you guys see that, such hate? Like, how do you perceive that personally?
I don't see it where I am at all.
But I mean, like, more like, how do you see the U.S.? Like, how does the world see
gross.
the U.S.?
It makes us seem like
it's very weird.
Yeah.
It's just doesn't even make sense.
It's sad, like so depressing.
Yeah. It's gonna be weird for me to even just say this, but I actually learned something from back in the day when I would drive Uber. I had such a high star rating with driving with Uber that Uber wanted me to become one of what they were calling their Uber special drivers, where I would then be able to assist people that needed a little bit more help than other people would need. And I had to do this extra training. And something that they said in that training that I've just kind of like just sat on is it's not a disabled person. It's a person with a disability, right? So if you put people first, like literally put the word of person or people first in your description of somebody, then at the end of the day, it's like, who cares if they're trans or gay or whatever? They're fucking people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let them be who they are and leave them alone. Now, in Canada, I'm not worried too much, and I'm not a woman, so maybe I'm wrong. But as far as I know, gay rights and women's rights aren't even a real concern, no matter what party or leader comes into play. But the conservative side, they definitely have a different point of view when it comes to trans rights. So, like, our healthcare system, for example, does include gender affirming care, right? So again, elective stuff, not so much, right? So when you're in
Yeah.
the end stages and you're older and you're ready to full transition, you're kind of on your own there. You'll probably get some help on the recovery and stuff, but like you're still going to pay a bill. But as far as like, your
Yeah, like the
your
basics. Yeah.
traveling through the transition, the affirming care that you need, the psychiatrists and the beta
Hormones
blockers and the
probably. Yeah.
whatever medications you need. Generally speaking, in Canada, the debate isn't whether or not they should have care. It's usually whether or not it should be this drug or this drug that should be used to help them. That's usually the debate.
Yeah.
But the conservatives, and Jason mentioned Alberta. Alberta is a province right now that's pushing back against the rest of Canada and saying that, like, yeah, this stuff shouldn't be allowed, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I mean, it's so refreshing to hear that, after the rhetoric that we've been hearing over here. It's like you said, it's dehumanizing the whole group of transgender people, like saying that they are not people, and that's how you get others to help
Yeah.
push them down. That's how you get others to see them as less, and then they're no longer the same level of human, so you can do whatever you want with them, and it's so unfair and so um, ridiculous. Joe and I were looking at this meme earlier. It said something like that we would like a different bathroom than the MAGA than the people um, that are MAGA, because they're so obsessed with everybody's genitals, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, saying I don't want to go in the bathroom with a MAGA because they're
You're
obsessed
gonna
with
be
my
worried about
genitals.
what's.
Yeah.
It's like, man.
I saw something today actually that I was quite proud to see. So we have a chain of stores over here called Shoppers Drug Mart. It's basically like your CVS or your pharmacies, right? Like where you can buy makeup and things like that. And my wife, there's a brand of makeup or a thing that she's like desperate to get her hands on, but she can't find it anymore. Anyways, she was discussing something with the lady at the makeup counter, and I noticed an advertising on the wall. And no joke, it was a long blonde-haired man with a full, beautiful white beard and all done up, full makeup, had like his nails painted and everything for the marketing of this particular makeup. And I was just like, awesome. Like,
Yeah.
I
Over
like
he-
to see that.
Over here, people freak out about stuff like that. It's just so sad that people are so worried about how people present themselves. It shouldn't be a worry of anybody
Those
except
people,
that person.
there are those people here too, but
Yeah.
there's not very many of them.
Well, especially here in Texas, like living in such a red state here where we're at, it's very scary.
Yeah, they're severely
Yeah.
outnumbered here.
Yeah, I have a friend here in Texas too. He wears the hair color, the nails, I mean, sometimes he'll have a beard or whatever, and like eyelashes and makeup and everything. And it's like, and he's a straight white guy. He's not even LGBTQ. He's just like
Yeah.
straight guy. He just likes it, and he's married and has kids. And it's like why can't we just let people be who they want to be or wear whatever they want to wear? Like it's if it makes them feel good, if it makes them feel comfortable, if it
Hurts
makes them
nobody.
happy, what's the problem?
Yeah.
But like my green hair, like is it hurting anybody? Probably not.
I mean, I've heard people, this is actually from people close within our family that I know, talking about transgender, well, that they would never let a transgender person teach at a school or teach their child at a school because they feel that they're gonna basically make their child, you know, trans, which is like so many people have that think that way. It's scary to think that you wouldn't want someone to teach your child just because the way that they dress or the way that they portray themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's so close-minded, such as close-minded point of view. Yeah.
Part of the thing that might help even a little bit too might just be the separation of our populations, right? Like in America, you can drive an hour and just be to an other metropolis like an hour away. In Canada, like except for maybe the southern Ontario where I live, for the most part, our major cities are in the middle of these vast, empty territories with small towns everywhere.
Drive a
So
full day before you find another civilization.
yeah, so you'd be hard pressed to go to one of those small towns and find like a trans person, for example, like or someone who is openly trans at the very least, right? Most people would move to a city where, you know, there would be more people like them that they can spend
Relate
time
with,
with and be
okay,
around.
yeah.
And as soon as you get into a bigger city like Vancouver or Toronto, there's so much diversity there you wouldn't even notice. It's like it's just so much of it that no one stands out because it's everyone stands out in a way. Like it's great, right? So you're just accepted. There's always going to be hatred though, but I'm just saying that like just based on TV and watching TV, I could not imagine being in America or even like southern parts of America that and being a trans person just must be terrifying.
Like even our large
Yeah.
cities that are more diverse and more liberal, it's still dangerous for people to come out, just because you do have these really right-wing conservatives. Like it's the Christian nationalism stuff, that's a whole different topic, but that mindset is just like, it's scary. Like it definitely, if I was trans or if I was gay, I would be afraid for my life living in Texas. I definitely wouldn't want to, even being in a big city like we are here in Houston. You still have to really be careful.
If I was to put on a wedding dress and walk downtown at Toronto, I'd probably get a lot of whistles and catcalls. If I were to go to like far northern Ontario, where like Jason said, you drive 10 hours before you get to the next town. When I got to that town, if I came out in a wedding dress to like pump gas in my car, I probably would get some long stares. But would I get any like straight hatred? I don't know. I'd be really shocked.
Yeah.
I'd be really shocked. Maybe that one old guy in town who's just not as open-minded
He may not even say something to you though. He'd just go to the coffee shop the next morning and bitch about you.
Yeah. That sounds about right. Yeah, he wouldn't even go and say anything to your face. He'd wait until tomorrow and go, "Did you see the dude in the friggin' wedding dress pumping gas?" And that would be the end of it. It would be his highlight of the month, probably.
Yeah. That's completely different from a small town here. And if you go to a rural town outside of a larger, metroplex, especially in Texas, I mean, you'll probably get slurs yelled at you. You'll probably get told to get out of, what are you doing here? I'm sure it wouldn't be very welcoming. They'll make it known that they don't like you.
Yeah, I'm sure it would be possible for that kind of result here somewhere, but it would shock me. It would surprise me. But I don't want to speak.
I looked at you for too long. I'm sorry. I'm staring at you. I'm sorry.
To be fair, who pumps gas in a wedding dress?
Well, that's what makes the example so fantastic, right?
Yeah, it's funny. Everybody, freaked out about the recent. I forgot what his name. Jonathan Van Ness, maybe with the green dress in the Oscars or like some type of public TV award ceremony, and he has like a beard and everything. He's from like,
his hair was like
Queer Eye or something. I think it's a TV show about gay men, right? And like everybody was shocked that he was wearing a dress And I was
Why?
like, do
Trey
these
Parker and
people
Matt Stone did it like in the 90s.
like?
What's the difference?
But even further back, like, do people not even remember Michael Jackson like wearing like very feminine clothing, and I don't know, Prince?
He wore a
Um,
glove that was
like,
bejeweled. Like,
do
I don't
people
know.
forget
People.
that?
yeah, Michael Jackson could have landed airplanes with that glove. Like, come on. But yeah, Trey Parker and Matt Stone did it in the 90s. They didn't just wear dresses, they wore dresses that matched other people's dresses. So like Trey Parker was wearing the same dress that Jennifer Lopez was wearing, and she was very
Right.
pissed. But she wasn't pissed because it was a man in a dress. She was pissed because someone else was wearing
Wearing the
her
same thing.
dress.
Yeah.
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 And it'll
Right?
probably look better, right? Like,
Don't want to
well,
wear
they-
the same thing, right?
Yeah, actually, to hear them tell the story, they were stoned out of their tree as well. So like, but
But their characters, so yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
I don't remember that, but I'm sure that's funny.
yeah, well, they did it. The South Park movie was nominated for an Oscar.
Okay, so they were wearing it to the nomination then.
And they hate
the
award
awards.
shows and they hate celebrities and they hate all that stuff. But you know, their song was nominated for an Oscar, so they kind of had to go. So they said, "Fine, let's do it in a dress." And the only way they could get the balls to get in the dresses to go was to do some mushrooms beforehand. So they did.
Oh
so
man.
there's a comment from Fern, and they say these dichotomies can happen even in the same town. Here in Buffalo, on the west side, I can wear my mixed gender clothing with no comment. But 20 minutes east, I had a car throw a bottle of soda at me. I mean, that's mind blowing that somebody will throw an object at you because they can't tell whether you're a man or a woman. Like, oh my God, I can't tell whether they have a penis or not. I'm good. Like,
Well, I've always said
what?
masculine men get upset because it makes them think like, oh, I actually found that trans person attractive. Like, it's like, but I'm a man. It's like,
I
Yeah,
feel
that's
like sometimes what it is like these men who are so offended by trans people, they're offended because they will make out with anything, and they don't want to make out with someone and then find out that like they're trans, right? So their part of their anger is because I don't want to accidentally find out that you're trans, because I'll walk around and stick my tongue in anyone's mouth.
and because maybe I'll accidentally find out that maybe I'm gay and I liked it.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
so
like this Pete Hegseth guy that just became your new secretary
oh
of
my
defense.
goodness, yeah.
Like, this guy has cheated on his wife how many times? And so clearly he's promiscuous. He doesn't care. He'll just drink heavily and could end up in bed with he doesn't even know who. And so he probably has some ideas of like, well, we shouldn't let these people in here and there and stuff. And it's dumb. It's so dumb.
yeah, it's horrible situation.
Yeah.
But let's get into a little bit deeper talk over
Deeper?
here. While we're
Oh, man.
still sort of in
Hang on tight,
the
Jason. Here we go.
healthcare.
Buckled up, no.
Well, I was thinking about Trump. I'm sure you guys heard about Trump's recent communication ban for the FDA and the Center for Disease Control and Department of Human Health and Services, where he's not allowing them to have any type of communication between them or publicly or anything like that. But this isn't just about banning communication. Like, they had to cancel an actual scientific meeting that was happening in person. Some of them had traveled, but then they found out about the ban because some other representatives were told they could not travel because they were not allowing any type of funding to any of these health organizations. It affected cancer research, food outbreaks, food recalls. Like, if you have a food recall due to, like, I don't know, E. coli or something, right now,
Yeah, it won't be announced.
it won't be announced. The public is not going to find out about it until February 1st. And so this has been like a 2-week total time, right, between the inauguration and February 1st. So imagine, like, not being able to purchase supplies for like a research study that is ongoing in a clinic. Like, they couldn't buy there's tubes to draw blood or like needles or anything. Like I said, official travel was banned. Um, so this is kind of like, for me, it seems like an overreach of power. Justin, before the show, we were talking about like the historical parallels of between other world dictators and our current administration. What do you have to say about that? You want to talk to us a little bit about what we were discussing?
Yeah, so it's what you're telling me here. It sounds to me like Trump's just trying to control as many narratives as he can control, right? You guys have a country that very much like you guys love your First and Second Amendments. In fact, it's probably the only two amendments every American knows. Um, and so being somebody in America that wants to try to control as much information and news as possible, he's trying to probably do that as stealthily as possible, right? And so by starting by telling these different health organizations that when you have a crisis, you can't tweet about it anymore, that sounds crazy to me. Why would you do that? I mean, the fact that he left the World Health Organization alone to me is a little weird.
Yeah.
Scary.
But the stuff that you're talking about, that we were talking about before the show, was I was recently watching this little mini documentary on Hitler's first year, right? So in 1933, and the parallels compared to what Hitler was doing to what Trump was doing now are actually frightening, right? So when Hitler first took office, the country was literally complaining about the cost of groceries. Literally, they were starving, and Hitler had to fix this. So when he took office, he instantly started to attack Jews, but the population did not like that. They're like, "Whoa, what is going on? Like, don't do." So he stopped, and he realized he first has to gain the population's trust. So for 4 years, he was Hitler, but he focused on like getting people jobs, something like an absurd, like half the population was unemployed, people were starving. So he focused on people getting jobs, people getting food. So the Autobahn, for example, he literally walked like thousands and thousands of people with shovels and said, let's open up our country. Let's create a highway so that people can go anywhere and that people can access us. And he did that, and he did all of these other things. Once he got the population behind him, that's when he turned around. And when things got bad again, he would say things like, it's the Jews causing the problem. And then that's where the rest of the history comes in. I'm kind of seeing these same parallels here when it comes to Trump and his mass deportation.
Yeah, and they'll leak. Yeah.
Right? Like, it's
promising cheaper eggs. It's all the fault of the immigrants coming from the mental institutions, which is okay. I'm gonna clarify this for everybody. He's thinking like he's looking at people looking for asylum, and he sees the word asylum, and I'm pretty sure he thinks they're talking about the insane asylum because he doesn't know the difference. So he suddenly thought, oh, it's crazy people from the mental institutions are coming across the border. And it's like, could you be any fucking dumber?
Yeah. And by the way, so another parallel that I learned about too regarding Hitler in his first year, and I'll tell you what Hitler did, and let's see if you guys can find the parallel. He ordered that any Jewish-owned businesses must be sold to a Catholic German national. What is going on in the States right now? They're demanding something similar. What parallel are you guys seeing there?
Are we talking about TikTok demanding TikTok to be sold?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the parallel to me is right there.
I was thinking about school vouchers, but
yeah. So just like America saying that we want TikTok to be sold or banned, Hitler did a similar thing where, like, if you're a Jew who owns a business, you're not allowed to have a business, so you're going to have to sell it to a German Catholic or whatever.
It's really scary. Me and AJ have been talking about this a couple of days ago, and I feel like, well, everybody knows the power that social media holds. So TikTok definitely has the ability for persuasion, depending on what's pushed through it, which all social media platforms have. Um, except when the US, when it's a American owned, like, like Facebook or with X, now we have Zuckerberg and Elon both buddy with Trump. So with those two social media platforms, and then plus Truth Social, which is like, doesn't really have a huge amount of people on it, even though Trump claims it's a huge success. But if they take control of TikTok as well, I mean, they're going to basically have control over the majority of social media in the US, which is just like scary, like how much manipulation can be done with that type of control over media, over social media.
I personally wouldn't miss TikTok either way, but yeah, you're right. It's a huge platform that you can't ignore. Yeah, I saw an interview recently with, it was either David Pakman or one of those other guys, where he was interviewing Mark Cuban, kind of saying like, "Hey, Mark, why weren't you over there with the rest of those guys, and stuff?" And asking like, "What does that look like? What to you when you see like Bezos and Zuckerberg and all of them right behind Trump? And like, does it scare you that Trump has access to that kind of like money and stuff?" And Cuban said something that actually made me feel a little better. He's like, "No, you're talking about billionaires that are getting direct access to the president. Who wouldn't want to have like elbows rubbing with the president, regardless of whether you agree with their positions or views? It doesn't matter to them. It doesn't matter that it's Trump. It could have been anybody. It's just the fact that Trump let them in that they're willing to go." Right? So
Yeah, I see that.
yeah.
Yeah, we were recently wondering what happened to Elon Musk, because you look at him years ago and he wasn't very public about his views, but you could tell he wasn't religious and he wasn't any type of extremist. And suddenly now he's like far right, almost spreading. I've seen him talking about Christianity and like, you know, neo-Nazi sort of the whole salutes and everything.
Yeah.
And it's like something changed for him, and
It's
we
all
are
about
like,
their pocketbooks.
exactly, right? That's what we were thinking. We're like, it has to have been that he finally got the money, finally got to his head.
I think he put his own chip in his head and short circuited.
He's got the Neuralink already implanted, and trying it out on himself. Maybe Trump's controlling it. Trump.
I was gonna say that maybe he gave the control to Trump.
I mean, it's no accident that Elon Musk made more money than anybody else after Trump won an election.
Yeah,
like,
he did. He banked hard on that.
It shouldn't even be a thing for someone to be enriched because a certain person won an election. That's just instantly like red flags all over the place. Yeah. Like, how did Trump win an election and Elon Musk makes another $200 billion?
Yeah.
Right. And then we go and look at Trump on inauguration day. He starts his meme coin, and Melania starts a meme coin, and now he does this pump and dump scheme.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like
his
all of these
Trump
supporters are falling. Yeah, but it's supposed to crash. That's how pump and dumps work. Yeah, so like all of Trump's supporters bought into it, and now Trump made another like $9 billion.
Yeah, it's insane. Well, there's huge things being spoken about in terms of that as well, with the cryptocurrency and how they want to make a federal reserve. Well, they want to make what's the term, I keep forgetting. Basically a reserve of cryptocurrency for the US, basically. And some senators are actually pushing back on it, saying now that Trump and Melania both have coins, that it's a conflict, because how can he write laws and set this in place when he has
a conflict?
Everything in his everything. He never pushes anything aside. He's all about profiting off of his presidency, for sure.
Yeah,
but I mean, it's a huge conflict. But yeah, I agree, Jason. Everything in his life is a damn conflict when it comes to Trump.
Yeah, he's got $5 million, maybe more, worth of advisors around him, and I don't understand some of the decisions and choices he's making. Like the tariff thing. So at this point, we all understand that the tariff is paid by the end user, right? So the stuff being imported is not going to be paid by the people importing it. It's going to be paid by Americans, right? But the other part that I don't think he understands is, okay, so there's two things happening here. First, this self-sustaining America on energy and other things concerns me, because the second that he believes America can self-sustain 100% on its own, or the fact that he would want a country that is 100% like energy efficient on their own, and is just another reason why, or another safe state to be in for him to go to war with somebody, right? Because the second he goes to war, if he tries to invade Panama to take over the canal with force, he's going to get sanctioned out the wazoo, and Americans are going to get sanctioned out the wazoo, right? You guys are all going to be, you think your groceries cost a lot now, wait till the sanctions come, right? So that's one of the reasons I'm worried about this. We want Canada to be self-sustained, or America to be self-sustaining. It's like, is it because you know that you're going to get sanctioned after you pull a bunch of bullshit?
Yeah, you're going to do something that's going to cause us to have to be able to be self-sustainable. Yeah,
right.
that's a
which is also another way I can see him staying in office for more than this term, right? The second you're a wartime president, you can hold the chair for as long as you want. Now, I'm not sure physically he's capable. Like, I really don't think he's got the longevity in his health to make it too much longer. I'm not saying I wish death. I'm not like that. But
it's a realistic observation.
But here's the other problem that I don't think the details are even more finer than that. So he talks about this deficit between Canada and America. Okay, something like $200 billion. We subsidize Canada to $200 billion. Well, here's the thing: if we stop selling you guys oil, we're the ones in a deficit. We actually like you owe us some trade. If we just stopped with the oil alone. And the energy, actually, not just oil. I think it's energy and all of energy. The second thing is that the oil that America has is actually really, 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 really high grade. Really high grade. It's premium stuff. And you guys don't have the infrastructure to refine it.
Yeah.
All of your refineries are designed and built to refine the shittiest oil you can find.
The cheapest stuff.
The cheapest stuff, which is why that answers the question. People often ask, why are we selling oil and then buying oil? Like, it doesn't. The reason is
that we can't refine it.
You guys can't refine your premium stuff, so you sell it for a high price to someone else. You buy the crappier stuff at a lower price. You bring it in, you refine that, and boom. And of all the oil that you guys refine, less than half it becomes gasoline, and the rest is all other stuff like plastics and lubricants and whatever.
I heard Trump the other day bragging at the Economic Forum in Europe, and he was talking about how America has all the best oil and that we have the most and the best oil ever. And
he's absolutely right. And none of you guys can use it. You can't use a single drop of it. It literally would. So your oil companies are privately owned. You know how many billions of dollars it would cost an American oil company that would have to invest to build a refinery to refine the oil you guys have? And they're all about money. They're not going to do that.
They're not going to spend it.
They'll sell it.
They will end up like losing so much.
Meanwhile, we've got a pipeline that goes from Manitoba straight into Texas, right into your refinery plant. Like, why would you want to tariff that? What a setup! Like, we've got the oil you need, and you don't even have to put it on a boat. You just turn a valve and take as much as you need, and we'll bill you.
You mean it goes into the Gulf of America?
No, it stops right before the Gulf.
Right before it.
Yeah. I don't even recognize the Gulf of America, and I'm going to say.
Let's talk about that.
This is the last time I'm saying Gulf of America.
I'll never recognize it as that either. It's just ignorant.
Yeah, like what a ridiculous thing to do.
What I would like to talk about, because I don't understand it. What's this Mount McKinley thing?
He's saying, well, I heard briefly a discussion about it this morning on our like AM like talk radio. Basically, he's saying he wants to rename it after McKinley because he says McKinley was like one of the best U.S. presidents that we
But
had.
wasn't it previously named McKinley, and then they changed it, and now
Yeah,
he
and then
wants
they
to change
changed.
it
He wants to
back?
name it back. Yes, he wants
Why
to name
did it
it
get
back.
changed?
I
Is there
don't
something
know
about
the,
him that's bad, or
yeah, I don't know the theory behind that. I guess we need to look into that.
okay?
But he is saying it needs to be changed back though because he was one of the greatest U.S. presidents. Let me look it up real quick.
And
Because he keeps talking about that name change, and I keep hearing that it used to be called Mount McKinley, and then it got changed. So I'm thinking, okay, was he like a slave owner or something?
That's very
And
possible.
and now he wants to change it back because he's a brilliant president. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, what happened there? But anyways, the Gulf of Mexico
I
is not
mean,
changing its name.
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's gonna happen. But okay, someone says,
It was never named after
Has-
President McKinley.
Oh, okay, so
Okay,
it
okay.
wasn't. I'm wrong then. Okay.
Okay. So is President McKinley worthy of a mountain? Like, were they actually a decent president? Or
So McKinley
So it's
was
a
a prospector
prospector.
then.
Okay.
Okay.
okay,
Alright.
so
So he probably
this
has no
name
idea of the
changes-
history.
Yeah, so this name change sounds negligible to me, and kind of like go ahead and call it Mount McKinley.
I
Then.
think he does these things though to distract, so he could push this other stuff through and have his arguing about like things that aren't even important. Like he has like half of the South arguing about the Gulf of Mexico being named the Gulf of America, while he's like getting all these other executive orders signed, like pushed through, and we're too busy like stuck arguing about
I
this.
think a lot of it is a smoke screen for sure.
Yeah.
It's what the
And,
Midas touch says, right? Donald Trump is using WMDs, weapons of mass distraction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And it works though. He's a master at that, and that's what he does.
probably also has to do with why he wants to go and take over the Panama Canal.
Yeah, and then that brings up that other parallel, right? What did Putin say before he invaded Ukraine? I got to go get those Nazis, right? And then here's Trump saying, "Well, we got to go get the Panama Canal because China."
The China has control of it.
What?
Yeah. So
Like China doesn't even have anything to do with it. Otherwise, it will be. He might rename it the
how many
China
people will believe
Canal.
that though? How many people will actually, when he says that, they'll believe it and go along with it? Like, oh yeah, we can't let these Chinese have control of the Panama Canal. It's like
They don't. Panama controls the Panama Canal. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I think, but it has a lot to do with his views on immigration and like we talk about several times today, dehumanizing groups of people, and he wants to dehumanize immigrants to make them look like they're people coming from asylums and criminals and nothing but horrible. What did he call them? Bad hombres or whatever. How I can't imagine that this is similar in Canada. Like, do people see what Jason? Give us your take on this. Like, are immigrants in Canada seen in such a negative light the way that they are in America?
Absolutely not. No, most people are super welcoming of all immigrants.
But it brings to like the economy, right? And like, how are
Absolutely,
the
yes.
systems?
Yeah.
How is the system of like becoming, I don't know, an illegal immigrant? Like, can people go for work or like family and like easily?
I actually don't know.
So they've slowed down a lot recently, and it's not because of any like xenophobia or anything like that. It's because we have a housing crisis. Like, Canada's not perfect, and we do have a housing problem. So the government has recently like slowed down the availability of like allowing too many extra immigrants in.
Okay.
But it's definitely easier than it is in America to be a Canadian immigrant. I'm married into an immigrant family. So my wife's Indian and all her family are Indian. They're from Dubai, but they're Indian. But yeah, no, I don't know what the exact process is. But just getting in the country for asylum and stuff is generally pretty easy. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, there's even a single border crossing in the east that basically is open. And if you can get to that border crossing, you'll instantly be just like, come on in and get asylum. It's somewhere like over into
You hear that, Joe? You hear that, Joe?
We're on our way. We're on our way.
Yeah.
Can you like PM me the location?
I don't know the exact location of it, but yeah, there is apparently one crossing where like they'll just wave you in and like it's no problem. It's like, what's your name? Where are you coming from? Why are you coming here? Why are you seeking asylum? Things like
I
that.
mean, we briefly looked into Canada. Well, AJ almost went to Canada instead of the U.S. when she first came from Argentina,
Yeah.
and we would
That
have
was the
never met
goal.
if she had did that. So I'm glad she decided to come to Texas, but now she's stuck in this red state, Texas. But we did look at trying to move to Canada, and I remember there was quite a few requirements, but it wasn't like anything terrible. You know, there were actual, you know, just asking about like what were your, you know, what type of trades do you do, or what's your education, which are legit questions to be able to ask. Or, you know, if you're going to move over there, you're going to be able to find a job. Will you be able to work? Will you be able to, you know, take care of the people that you bring in?
If Canada had an immigration problem, the problem I would say would be allowing people to enter with their high skills. If you're a doctor, for example, like you got a medical degree from India and you come to Canada, you're not a doctor here.
Oh,
That
so you
part
have to like
bothers me.
redo your.
Yeah,
Wow,
like
okay.
go back to school basically and get
Okay.
a
Wow.
diploma. Canada doesn't really recognize those higher professionals like legal and medical, which is unfortunate, especially in a country with essentially like a free healthcare system. We shouldn't be looking those gift horses in the mouth. I'm not saying there should be like, oh, you're a doctor, cool, check, you're in. It should maybe not like that, but
Yeah, but like a background, like
yeah,
checking, making sure that it's a legit,
yeah, like if someone's been a doctor in India for 20 years, they should be able to just come to Canada and just be like, show us your resume and you'll probably be fine, you know?
yeah,
Someone fresh out of medical school, maybe they should get a recertification to some degree, perhaps. But
yeah, I've seen so many doctors, you know, like I have a lot of health issues, so I usually look at their background, and so many of my doctors have been from like India, Pakistan, even any kind of Middle Eastern country, and I'm not talking about even like, you know, like UK or whatever, because those who they might take it. But yeah, it's like you see so many doctors from different backgrounds, and they were all amazing.
Yeah,
Like
great
I've
doctors.
never had any type of bad care from any of them, so that's definitely unfortunate. Yeah, to hear that. Well, there's one point against Canada. There we found it. We finally found it, guys.
Here we
It
go.
took almost 2 hours in, and we finally give you the thumbs down.
oh, there's some other points against Canada, sure. I'm not sure what they are right off the top of my head, but there's something.
Can't even find a second one. Come on, guys. Top 3. So,
Cell
no,
phones. Oh, our mobile stuff over here is criminal. You want to talk about how Canadians are robbed? Our cell phone plans are insane.
like the cost.
Yeah.
No, the cost, but the speed though. Do y'all have
Oh,
5G
no,
network?
Oh no, our
5G network,
infrastructure,
yeah, is
our
good.
infrastructure would embarrass you. We're way better than you.
Oh, okay, but the
But
cost
like
is extreme
we
though.
pay for it.
Yeah.
Holy cow. This phone on the same plan with my wife is a $230 per month with
Like
unlimited
plan for
with
one
unlimited
phone?
data for 2 phones.
Oh, for 2 phones. Okay.
230 a month.
Yeah,
Canadian.
I have like 6 lines, and I pay about that price. I pay
There you go.
$290 a month for for 6 lines.
Yeah,
It's
see?
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a huge difference then.
Yeah, oh yeah. And if I'm near the American border, oh my God, my bill will just because my signal will jump to the American side, and then my bill will show that like, oh, you were roaming for 30 seconds. Here's another $18 on
Oh,
your bill.
But your 5G is probably safe. It probably doesn't fry your brain, right? And it's not giving you cancer.
Yeah,
You'll have safe 5G.
yeah, the Canadian 5G is perfectly safe.
Yes, but yeah. So I wanted to ask you guys about um, Joe and I were talking, and like you're talking about the phone reminded me of this. So there's like a huge difference between America and what I've seen in Europe when we've traveled as far as waste. Like for example, if you get your phone, it comes in like huge packaging, and like in America, it's just all about how something looks. Like they don't really care. So just like in one day we can take a huge bag of trash over here. When I visited my parents in Switzerland, we stayed with them for a couple of weeks, and it will take an entire week to take out like a bag the size of my head. It was just like almost no waste. Is that similar in Canada? How's that like the waste
We still have lots of waste here.
recycling? You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about the song.
Yeah, yeah, we still have a fair amount of waste here, and I mean we've got recycling programs and things like that too. So you can limit your waste as much as you want to put effort in, but you're not required to. You could just throw it all in one big garbage bag if you really wanted to.
Okay, so it sounds like it's more like in the US.
Yeah,
Do you
well,
have
I-
separate bins for like recycling that actually pick up for you
Yeah,
guys?
so
or-
well, every municipality will be different, right? So I'm
Okay.
not in Jason's municipality. It'll be different than where I am now, and it's different than where my in-laws are, for example. So in the municipality that I'm in, we only get garbage pickup once every 2 weeks now, right? So they
Oh,
don't come every week anymore. Once every 2 weeks. So we
Wow.
have to, and we're only allowed one bag. So we have limitations that we have to try to live
Yeah.
in. And then we also have a green bag, which is for the wet. So anything that's like food waste or coffee grounds or whatever, that goes in there, like the biodegradable stuff, if you will. Then we've got a blue bag, which is like the recycling stuff.
mhm.
However, our country doesn't recycle very well. In fact, we sell most of our recycling. So only about 4% of our recycled material gets recycled here. The rest we sell it to like Spain and stuff. And
Wow.
then you know what Spain does with it?
What?
They burn it.
The burn it? Yeah, I was gonna say
Oh,
for energy
So
probably. Huh?
it's like,
Okay.
what are we really recycling for? But
wow.
we can put out as many recycled bags as we want every 2 weeks. We don't have to we're not limited to just the one garbage bag. We can put 5 recycled bags out if
Yeah.
we want. So they encourage the recycling. Unfortunately, our province doesn't really recycle very well. They just sell it all. But
Well,
there
we
it
don't.
is.
Most of the areas here, like we don't have any type of recycling pickup. They did try to implement it in Houston for maybe 1 or 2 years, and I guess people weren't recycling, so they stopped doing pickup. Now it's just like regular trash pickup. But our trash we have a big bin. It gets picked up twice a week. And
Twice a week?
Twice a week.
Holy cow!
Yeah.
Wow.
And we'll fill it up. I mean, it'll be
And
filled up both times.
yeah, and one of the days is large trash day, so you can put anything you want on the side of the bin. Like you can put your couch, an old TV, anything, they'll pick it up.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
If I want to
Yeah.
throw a couch away, I have to put it on the road. Or no, not even. I have to make a call first,
Okay.
and then they'll tell me what day to put it out, and
From
they'll
the
come
pickup.
get it. Yeah. And even then, you're limited to like one of those a year, kind of thing.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah. Here is just like so much waste.
Where I
Really, it's
come
just
from,
mind
where I
blowing.
moved from, is a city that in Canada we would call this city a project city. So it's the kind of city where whenever a new idea or new technology or a new policy comes into play, they'll test it out over there, right? So when the telephone was first invented, this was one of the first cities in Canada to get the telephone, right? When, gift cards and payment with cards and stuff, like direct payment transactions were implemented, is one of the first towns to have a kind of thing like that. And now they've got a trash system that I absolutely love. The city gives you 3 bins, a huge trash bin, a huge recycling bin, and a little itty bitty green bin. Right? And you can put as much in there as you want. And I'm talking, when I say huge, I mean like I can sit in them. That's how big they are. And like close the lid and be inside them. and you can put as much trash in there as you want as long as you can close the lid. And
That's
once
like
a week,
ours. Yeah.
is that what it's like in Windsor?
That's
Yeah.
what
So
ours
then
is,
once a
yeah.
week, you put it out
Yep.
to the road, and the garbage truck comes, and it's not even a dude in the truck anymore.
An
Now it's just a
automated arm.
robot arm that picks up
Yeah.
the garbage can and dumps
Yeah.
it in.
Yeah, that's what we have too.
Yeah, that I think is awesome. I miss that system
Yeah.
so much. Right now, I take my trash to the dump. Like whatever is overflow, it's like I'm not going to hang on to this trash for the next pickup. I just drive it to the dump. Besides, the dog likes going to the dump. The people love the dog there.
But we tried to, like, we don't have recycling pickup in our neighborhood, and we tried to recycle for like, I don't know, only like a year straight. Probably we would separate our glass and we would separate our plastic stuff from it, but it's so
It's so
inconvenient.
far
when-
away.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the place that we'd have to drive to like actually go take the recyclable stuff, like it's just like time consuming. So like most Americans probably don't recycle because they don't want to go that extra step, basically.
Yeah,
It's
like
not
when my
convenient.
parents they had literally like like every neighborhood pretty much has a recycling center. You will just drive through, and like sometimes you don't even have to get out of the car. Some of them have like a worker that comes up and grabs your stuff
And unload it.
from your trunk, and they'll just put it like if you as long as you already have it separated. Some of the other places we actually had to go and get off out of the car, but it was also kind of like a drive-through. Some like where they live now, they have the bin, so they actually have the pickup. They'll pick it up because it's an apartment complex, so
Well-
they'll pick up like the big bin for the whole apartment complex. But I mean, like they have so little waste. It's like it really makes you think how wasteful we are on this side of the
Yeah,
the
we're a
ocean.
society of convenience. So, packaging,
Yeah,
convenience,
the Amazon
buy,
stuff
throw
for me,
away.
sometimes I'm just like, I gotta stop buying
Yeah.
stuff from
Yeah,
Amazon.
Amazon send you a
Literally,
big
literally,
box
I
with-
don't have to get out of my chair to find an Amazon box. Like it's boxed Amazon boxes everywhere. I'm buying gear for this BAHACON event that I'm going to, and I'm just collecting gear for that. And now I got Amazon
No,
box.
Amazon is like, oh man, you can buy so much stuff on there, and then be like, oh man, how much money have I spent in a year buying stuff on Amazon? Especially when you have this subscription and you get free shipping on everything. It's like,
Did you hear? Oh, hold on a sec. I'm having an avalanche over here. Oh my!
he's being crushed by Amazon boxes.
Well, I was grabbing this box and
No,
a
but-
textbook fell. So the province of Quebec. Did you hear what Amazon did there?
No,
I
it
did not.
happened.
Did you hear, Jason?
No.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, province of Quebec has 7 giant Amazon fulfillment centers in the province of Quebec. The province of Quebec is also the first province in Canada to unionize. The employees of Amazon in the province of Quebec successfully created a union. So Amazon is leaving.
Because they had a
Oh,
union.
because
so
they don't want to
didn't
be
want that.
unionized.
Yeah. So
Wow.
in 2 months, 1,700 people are going to be unemployed as Amazon shuts down all 7 fulfillment centers. Amazon claims it'll be more cost effective if local delivery services handle deliveries going forward.
It's because they don't want the
Oh.
unionization. That's crazy. Yeah, Amazon is a monster. It's like the size of the corporation and their whole system though is just it's mind blowing. Like these
I
warehouses.
wish
that
it
they
wasn't
build.
so convenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do have the system down though. Like we have those Amazon warehouses all over our city as well. Like the distribution centers, like you can drive. There's probably 2 on each side of the town. I mean, you'll drive them. You'll see them. These huge white buildings with the blue Amazon stripe across the top. I mean, they're just like monster warehouses.
The amount of change we could implement if we could just organize strong enough. The second I heard about this Quebec Amazon thing, my first thought was, we need to have an opposite Black Friday day or an opposite Cyber Monday day. If everyone in North America were to just unilaterally decide that today no one's going to order anything from Amazon for one day.
Right.
Do you know how much that would rock that company if they didn't get a single order one day?
For one day, yeah.
For one day?
But how
Yes.
much?
Okay. Somebody said something earlier in the chat. It reminded me of this comment. The friend said, "If you want rights for minorities, you have to make white men lose money."
Yeah,
Mhm.
that
Yep.
might be a very
Like
true
the
statement.
power, yeah, like the power that you take from Amazon if you didn't buy from them for one day. Yeah,
Yeah. I feel
absolutely.
the same way about Trump, actually. If the entire media, like Fox and everybody, was to not talk about Trump for one day,
He'd shrivel up and die.
oh my God, what a
Yeah, yeah.
tantrum. We would see a senior citizen throw a temper tantrum. His Truth Social account would explode of all of the, why is no one talking about me and I haven't seen myself on TV all day? Could you imagine? It would be the funniest thing.
It would. It would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The,
It
the very first orange raisin.
Yeah, if you could go a week and not have Trump be shown a
where
picture of Trump
nobody would
shown on
show him for
anywhere,
a week.
he would
Yeah.
withdraw.
Yeah.
He'd leave the presidency. He'd
Yeah.
be like, I don't want to be president no more. It's boring. That's
Yeah,
exactly
because
what I'm not even kidding. I think
He'd
he would
probably do
literally
something
walk out.
really, really crazy though, just to try to get back on
Yeah.
the news cycle because I don't know. He can't. He's like a child if he's not on the front page of what everybody's talking about. You're exactly right. He's gonna try whatever he can to get back there.
Yeah.
yeah. Speaking of the news cycles, I don't know if you guys heard today was, I think it might have been today. He was in California dealing with the fires
He
response,
wasn't dealing with the fires, AJ.
and no, yeah,
Pretending.
Yeah. He was in
yeah,
the same state as the fires. Okay, carry on.
exactly. Blackmailing the governor. The governor would be a better way to
Term.
describe it. So he was like, I will give you aid for the fires if you implement voter ID laws and free the
Free the
water.
water. Free the water.
What do you guys think he's talking about?
Can you actually hold water
Can you
captive? I
guess?
guess. I mean,
Do you have any guesses, Jason? What he was talking about?
With the free the water?
Yeah.
He's
No.
talking about BAHACON
You're
coming this August at the Blue Water.
the blue water.
We're gonna free all the mines. Free the water.
That's a good ad.
man.
Come get your
Okay.
emotional support, Canadian.
Yeah.
So he's basically talking about they were supposed to have suggested a process to bring water from the north um, into one of the canals in California, and they actually agreed that that wasn't a good idea for the ecology and like all of the environmental stuff that was going on with the canal. So they didn't do that, but they did it in different ways. Okay, they kind of like will drain some of the water in the canal and then they will let some of the water flow. And he's basically saying that they need to just let all the water flow without draining the rest of it and screw out the ecology and all of that. So he's just like, but the way he worded it is like a 2-year-old, like free the
Free
water.
the water.
Yeah. Yeah. His administration is clearly not giving a crap about any environmental
Oh, no, they
issues of
don't.
any kind.
Not
Yeah.
at all.
The fact that he just like freed up all of this offshore drilling permissions and like Alaska looks to me like it's about to get basically buzz cut, like it's just gonna get destroyed. Like all the nature in Alaska, I think, is about to just disappear at this point because he opened up everything.
Yeah, it's gonna
like,
be a free for all for the oil companies to go in there
and
drill.
gold. Don't forget
Yeah,
Alaska.
yeah,
is
mining
rich in
companies.
gold.
Yeah, mining companies too.
Yeah, so it's just gonna, and you know, gold mining is not. I mean, there's a lot of rules in place for gold mining and how to minimize the impact, but it's still a massive impact on the environment, right? Like those smelting pits, like where they put their old water after they're done digging for gold, that stuff is dirty, dirty, dirty water, and you can't just release that. And they have to set up all these systems in order for the
Right.
water to like self-filter and clean itself. And sometimes the dikes break, and that dirty water goes right into the rivers.
Yeah.
And if you don't, oh my goodness, it's gonna be nuts. It's
No,
just,
it's going to be a disaster if something like that were to occur. But yeah, it's sad to see that he opened up such beautiful, pristine land to be able to be
Jesus is coming back
destroyed.
soon, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, true.
he's bringing a tree with him. Don't worry.
He's-
Speaking of Jesus, so I was looking at some of the numbers of like how religion compares in Canada and in the US, and I mean it's not that much different as far as the levels. Like for example, the non-religious affiliated in Canada in 2021 was almost 35%, and in the US 30%. So I guess a little bit less. So, would you say that religion is as influential in Canada in politics, especially like where there is no division between church and state as it is in America, lately at least?
I would
Or is
say
it
in
better?
some communities, but most are not.
That's good. That's good. You
Yeah.
guys,
Like churches are closing like crazy here. Like there's churches closing every day.
wow.
So in Canada, the separation of church and state is not a thing. In fact, the church is very much part of our government. In that,
Interesting.
like our education money, for example, 30% of it is allocated to Catholic schools,
Wow.
right? So
Interesting.
government funded schools, public gets a portion, and Catholic gets a portion. Part of the problem here is that it's not balanced at all. So where Catholic schools get 30 to 35% of the education money, only 25% of the population goes to those schools.
Yeah.
Which means their schools are like, I went
Fancy.
to Catholic school, and I can tell you, our computers were brand new every year.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've got friends who went to public school and they had one computer and it wasn't a new computer.
Yeah.
So, there was, our sports teams in Catholic school, we had jumpsuits with their names on them and jerseys and all of like the proper gear and everything, warm up outfits and jackets and all this stuff. Public school, nope.
Public schools struggle. Yeah.
Yeah. So when it comes to the education, if you want the best education, Catholic school is the way to go. But it probably shouldn't have any money from the government. Like,
Yeah, like that's one thing in America that uh they currently don't do that, or they shouldn't rather. But there's been a huge push for the school vouchers, which
Yeah.
is basically taking public school money and giving it to families so they can send their kids to the school of their choice.
Which are
But
usually private,
the
like
school of
school.
the school of choices are often very of like 77% of private schools are religious and the majority are Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what they're doing is funneling public school money into private schools with the idea that they're sending the kids to a better school, but they usually try to focus on areas that have kids that are already going there, so they're kind of like giving it to wealthy families even to help them pay for it, not necessarily like the lower class kids that are actually struggling. So
yeah.
it's like
Canada has private schools, but they're not really like a normal family in Canada wouldn't be discussing public or private. They would be just discussing like public or Catholic. The private schools in Canada are actually like some of the biggest schools on the world stage, which means if you were from another country and you wanted to send your kid, you ever heard the stories of like, I'm sending you to boarding school and stuff, like those schools are here.
Okay.
So like the really big where you gotta be rich, like donate a building rich to
Yeah.
send your kid to these private schools. But I mean, we're the most educated country on the planet, so education isn't really. I mean, education's always a concern, but we got lots of it here, And
Yeah,
it's
like
just, to
even the
me, it's just
public.
unfortunate that the public schools have to take a smaller cut to give it to the Catholic schools. That part bothers me.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree with you on there. And would you say that religion affects a lot of other public spaces, like how we see here healthcare lately, like the whole male female ideology is definitely religious based. Do you see that in Canada a lot?
No, no,
Uh,
not where I am anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, it does exist. So like
yeah,
there are Catholic hospitals,
Yeah, we
and
have a
okay,
and,
lot of
yeah,
those here.
and they're still government funded,
yeah,
but they reserve the right based on their religion to refuse certain treatments, like free
yeah,
will. Um,
correct. Yeah, like
but
abortions and such, they can refuse.
yeah,
Yeah,
but unlike America, where like your insurance has to be valid under like you're good at this hospital, but not this hospital. In Canada, that's not really an issue. So if you don't like what the Catholic hospitals got going on, you
you
can
have choices.
you
Yeah,
can go to another hospital and get what you need, right?
right.
Or
Yeah,
or even a special like um I have a hearing problem. Like I'm gonna go deaf. There will be a day where I won't hear anything. So I've got a specialist that I
I
go.
welcome you. I welcome you to the group of.
Yeah. So I've got a specialist that I go to every year, and it's not at a hospital. He just has his own little specialist
Clinic.
building, and I get my checkup, and they monitor the decay of my hearing, if you will, right? Um, but yeah, no, there's Catholic hospitals. They do exist, and they do have the right, or reserve the right, rather, to deny certain services. But
Yeah,
that
we
doesn't mean you can't
definitely.
just go to another place.
Yeah, we've seen that increase a lot here in, especially in the South, in Texas, when the Roe v. Wade was overturned, and a lot of the Catholic hospitals were like very, very public about refusing
Yeah.
medical care to women, uh, in like who were pregnant or having miscarriages and stuff like that. So, Jason, question for you: What got you in? I don't really know your story on how you became an atheist, or have you always been an atheist, and how did you become involved with Baha?
Well, I was raised kind of in an RLDS church.
Uh,
My grandparents, my uncles are all very involved. My grandfather built the church. He was the minister there for years and years and years. My dad, however, uh, when he turned 18, he joined the Canadian Navy, had his first beer on the train, going to Montreal, um, did his 3 years, came back tattooed, drunk, smoking. He kind of gave up the whole church thing. So lucky for me, we didn't go all the time, right? We went for special occasions. My grandparents took me a few times when I was a kid, but it never clicked. It didn't make sense to me. I was the kid looking around all over the place, like, what are all these people doing? Yeah. So I guess I've always been an atheist. Um, it wasn't till probably my 30s, mid 30s, where I found another person that was out atheist, because all of my family is, churchgoers, like extended family, friends and stuff. We never talked about religion at all. So I had Christian friends that, I'd go to their church occasionally, for Christmas or whatever, just hang out. But yeah, and it wasn't, how did I get involved with BAHACON? I guess it showed up as an event close to me, like within an hour drive. And I wanted to go. The first year, couldn't get the finances to do it. Second year, it was postponed because of COVID, right?
uh,
Third year, I was able to go. I joined the local Baja group first of all, and we do like breakfasts and meetings and stuff like that, right? But I wasn't involved with Baja itself until just after this event, like this previous event, where they welcomed me onto the board.
nice. That's pretty awesome. That's cool. I saw like all the videos and photos from the last one, and it looks really really fun and interesting. And you guys have
So
some
much
like
fun.
amazing
Yeah.
people. So who's gonna be in the next one?
Oh.
Give us some.
So right off the bat, we got Seth Andrews, of course. Seth
Yep.
Andrews is a huge supporter of BAHACON.
He's like,
Yeah, so he's the Mick
man,
Jagger of the event. He'll be headlining.
yeah,
He's the one, the great one. Forrest Velkai is on the list again. Forrest
yeah.
Velkai last year was his thing was less of a speech and more of a stage performance. So like it was very electric. Everybody very much had a good time listening to Forrest. The one I'm most excited for this year myself, Gutsit Gibbon. So Erica will be there.
Me too. Me
Yeah,
too.
so
She's
I'm really
awesome.
interested to see what she's gonna do.
She's just so smart.
Yeah.
I love her. I love her.
Um,
Yeah, like I'm hoping we can hopefully save money and make it up there. By then, I would
Well, you
love to.
could buy $2
Yeah.
Canadian for every one of your American, basically.
pretty much.
Yes,
Um,
that's awesome.
Conversion.
yeah, and the rest of the list is we
You get
got
Christopher DiCarlo,
yeah, Dr.
Dr. Abby Hafer,
Yeah,
John Loftus, Dr. Anthony Pinn, Phil Zuckerman, Andrew White, and Janice Folk Dickerson.
Jasmine.
Yes, sorry, Jasmine Folk.
Oh, Jasmine.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So these are like different scientists, authors, personalities.
Yeah.
I would say those are the type of people who their names right now you may not know, but I guarantee you, when you come to BAHACON, not if, but when you come to BAHACON and you hear them speak, you will not forget their names. At last
Yeah.
year's BAHACON, everyone who went on stage left an impression with me, and it was spectacular. And I wanted to get more involved myself right away. So,
Is it a 1 day
Yeah.
event or 2 days?
It's 3 days.
Oh, 3 days.
days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. So if so on April 1st, the tickets will go on sale, right? So on April 1st, you can start buying your tickets. And for the Friday night, they do this VIP dinner, which I did last year. So like a catered event, catered meal, sit at the tables, meet and greet and see everybody. Then the Saturday starts, and that's when like the speakers go up. Breakfast is included, lunch is included, and the speakers they talk and everything, and you'll listen to their stories or what they're trying to teach you or educate you on or what have you. And while that's going on, Forrest will just come sit beside you at your table and start chatting with you.
Hang
Oh
on.
yeah,
Like
I saw
it's
from one of my friends that attended Crystal Butcher, and she was sitting at the table with Seth. I thought it was awesome.
yeah, so like it's very chill, very casual, but you respect the person on the stage. But like for me, it was like Aaron Ra came over and just sat beside me, and he just started showing me like puppy videos on his phone. Like, look at that puppy,
Nice,
look at that
nice.
puppy. While Hemet Mehta was on stage talking, and like
It's
Aaron's
really very surreal to be there.
yeah, it's so
Yeah.
low key and casual. It's like there is no green room. You know what I mean? Like the guest speakers aren't separated from the population or the
Yeah.
crowd in their own green room or whatever. No, they're literally like, I remember the Friendly Atheist had two chairs. He had
Oh,
one
he's
chair he's
awesome.
sitting in, another chair across with his legs on. He's got his laptop, and I guarantee you he was writing his next YouTube episode, but he's hanging out in the main room with everyone else. He wasn't in his room or out in a lobby. He was just in there. Someone's talking, there's people over here talking, and he's writing in a YouTube episode. Like, and then there's so many other faces there that you don't even realize you're looking at them until it's like, holy shit. Vice Rhino was there. I was like, what the hell? So if you don't know who Vice Rhino is, he's a Canadian YouTuber. He's got like 100,000 subscribers. He's just there facing
I've
the
seen
crowd.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing that I really loved about Seth Andrews. Like, I had watched him for a long time on YouTube, and then like last year he came to Houston for a speech, and so we went to see it. And then after the show, I went up to him and I was like starstruck and like didn't know what to say. And then he had mentioned on his speech that his dad had a cochlear implant. So I was like, hey, like I also have a cochlear implant and this and that. And he was like, oh, he was like, he just chatted with me about that. And he was like, wow, like your speech is really good. And then one day, a few months ago, I called his show and I was like, "Hey, it's AJ. Like I met you in Houston." He's like, "Oh, like the cochlear implant. Like you remember me?" I was like, "What? How do you even?" Yeah. So yeah. So I told him about coming on the show. So I'm still like wanting to reach out to him, but at the same time, I'm like, is my show even good enough to have him on? Like, like it's
I'm,
on my side. Like he said yes already, but it's just me.
here's
Like,
what I'm learning, AJ, as far as like, because you and I are kind of on that same level right now, right? We're
yeah,
both this small time, like trying to make it and doing our best and working hard at it. Here's what I'm learning: you get one. Okay, so what I mean by that is like Seth Andrews wants to support the community. He truly does love us all. He wants the best for all of us, and he will do anything he can to help us. But if
all
you
right.
think he's going to come on your
You
little
convinced
channel
me.
every month, he's not going to come on every month. But you'll get one. You see what I'm saying? So,
All right, I'm
you know,
sold. You
yeah.
sold me. I'm
So
gonna do it.
make it a good one, make it count, right? Book them like 2 months in advance so you can market the hell out
Yeah,
of it, and
Yeah.
that's a
then
good idea.
and then don't waste his time when he gets here. Get the real questions you want to know out of him, and like
All
set him
right.
up to give him the floor so that he can go on his rants and stuff. That's what I'm
Yeah.
learning. Like all of these people are fantastic, and they've all given me so much time to come and be a guest over on Skeptic Spin, like Seth Andrews and Aaron Roz and Professor Dave I've had over there. They'll all come, but
I
they're
know
not.
when you invited me to come on with Brentley, I was like, "What, me?"
Oh, that was a no-brainer. You guys have a great little channel over here, and the personality you have is just
He's so cool.
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's
Brinley
Like
gonna
was
be
you,
awesome.
on.
Brinley was
you,
awesome.
AJ, you,
She doesn't
your
give herself enough
personality
credit.
was what I needed. Like that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying. Um,
yeah. He's
but
actually. I talked to him yesterday. He's gonna be on the 22nd, February 22nd.
yeah,
Oh,
So
you confirmed with Brinley to come on?
yeah, we
yeah.
Nice.
got it.
But when it comes to the bigger guys, that you got to remember that like guys like Seth Andrews and Aaron
Yeah,
Ra and stuff, they make their living doing this. So
yeah,
if they're going to come on your channel for a visit, they're happy to do so in support of what you're doing and the message that you're trying to share and all of that stuff. But he's doing it pro bono. He's doing it for free, where he normally gets paid money to
yeah,
do that. So that's why I'm saying like, you get one. You get one. I've been trying to get Seth Andrews to come back a second time, and he's just a little bit too busy. But he'll make time for
yeah,
you at least for the one, and I respect that. This is not a shot. I'm saying, yeah, you
yeah,
know what? It
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense because I honestly would rather him take time to come over to AJ's channel because he's never been here before than to give me a
yeah,
number 2 episode. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
And
So
it's only fair.
Share the
he was
love.
on your show, on like your other show that you used to have, right?
Yeah,
Before SkepticSpin.
yeah,
Gotcha,
yeah.
gotcha.
So that's kind of lost to time for now, but
That's awesome.
it's
Yeah,
fine. Someday I'll be a little bit bigger, and then there'll be a little bit more bait for the hook, right?
yeah,
And which is fine. Like, so I come from entertainment, and it may sound like I'm disappointed or upset at, say, Seth Andrews as my example, but I'm not, because like I said, you have to understand these guys make their living this way.
yeah,
So if he takes 2 hours out of his day to come onto your channel, he's doing that. He's not getting paid. Like, so he's doing it at his own free time, in support of you and everything like that,
Yeah, to
right?
support the cause and the
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I've had
cause.
Aaron Ra twice already now, right? And the second time he kind of hinted, he's like, "Hey, have you seen my Patreon?" And I was just like, "Okay, I understand what's happening here." So it's like I went on to, and I'm now
Oh
a
man,
Patreon member of Aaron
Paid to
Ra,
play.
right? Yeah,
that day that he didn't show up on your channel, I really wanted to come on, but I had like family coming over, and I couldn't. I wasn't even like
yeah,
dressed up or anything. I was like, man,
yeah. It's okay. It was that. Yeah, that's another thing. If you get Aaron, like Aaron's awesome, and he's so much fun, so much fun.
Yeah, he's
But if you
cool.
get Arn, speak in Texas time, which I think is not a problem for you then. So it's
Oh yeah,
that's what I
yeah.
learned.
I'm hoping he might go to the bat tour that they have. I think it's like in August in Austin, because he's been to the ones in the past, but he wasn't in the one last year. And I went to the one last year, but he wasn't there.
Arn hasn't been on those call-in shows too much lately.
No, but he does go sometimes, just because like the community is kind of like
Okay.
very very similar. They kind of hang
Yeah, I
with the
haven't
same
seen
type
him
of
on
people.
AXP or
Yeah,
even the line very much lately.
yeah. Oh, I met Forrest Valkai there last
Yeah, I
year.
saw the
That was
pictures.
cool too. Yeah, all these people are just so awesome. But I'm really excited for, like you said, Erica Gibbons and on BAHACON. I'm super excited for that.
Yeah.
Big
Maybe
fan.
we can actually save enough money up and be able to go, because I'd love to be able to check it out too.
Well, officially, I will be hosting a live stream from BahaCon this year.
Oh, that's nice. That's
Nice.
Yeah,
cool.
so
Awesome.
BahaCon has said, you know what, Justin, come be our Ryan Seacrest and do a show.
Sweet.
Ryan,
So yeah,
Ryan
You
so
look just
Seacrest,
like
love
him.
that.
Yeah.
well,
We'll-
actually, you know what I get
We'll
all
roll
the
the red
time?
carpet.
I get Jimmy Kimmel all the time.
I-
When
I
I was
see-
doing
I see
modern day
that.
debate, I've had people in the chat. When did modern day debate get Jimmy Kimmel to moderate?
You do have that look. Yeah, yeah.
You have a resemblance for sure.
Yeah. So there will be at some point. What was it, Saturday on the Saturday
The
night?
Saturday night, yeah.
We're gonna do a live stream from the main room at BahaCon. So you don't know who's gonna end up at next to me, because there's all of these wonderful people that are gonna be guests of BahaCon, and like I pointed out, you don't know who's gonna be in the audience, right? Trevor from a little channel called Believe It or Not is gonna make an effort to go this year. So I'm looking forward to meeting Trevor. Trevor's been a huge supporter for me, and amazing. This guy is so fantastic. So I'm, Trevor will be there. There's the Stacy's Mom podcast might come, right? The Apostate Sisters.
Oh, they're really cool too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Neil the
Yeah.
604 Atheist was there last year. Godless Engineer. I met John there. Yeah. So like,
Yeah.
who knows who I'm going to get to populate the limited seating that I'll have next to me on a little live stream. So we want you guys to come. We want everyone here to come. On April 1st, those tickets are going to go on sale for BahaCon. But if you can't make it, then at least you're going to have a live stream where you'll get a taste of what it's like to be
Yeah,
there.
we'll definitely tune in if we're not there with y'all.
Yeah, but
Um,
we'll for sure make the best effort.
We need to start by renewing our passports. So that's our number one thing.
Okay, true. True. Yeah. First in the line.
The trip wouldn't even be all that bad, because you could do all your flying within America and land in
Fly
what's
into
the city?
Detroit.
Fly into Detroit.
Yeah,
and
there's a shuttle
Uber,
from
and,
Detroit.
and there's like shuttle or Uber over to the border, and then you're there. The
Yeah.
hotel is literally like you can see
Interesting.
America from your hotel room.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
We fly all our speakers into Detroit, and we arrange shuttles for them to come in. So it's easy enough to get shuttles from Detroit to Sarnia.
Okay, well that's good to know. Yeah, that would definitely be cheaper. I'm assuming for
Yeah.
sure too.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be also just easier because Sarnia doesn't have an airport. So the
Okay,
alternative
okay.
is to fly into like London, which is still a couple hours away from Sarnia, and then try to figure travel like a
to
bus or
get there. Okay, yeah, that
Yeah.
makes sense then.
something.
Nice.
But yeah, BahaCon is going to be awesome. And like I said, tickets go on sale April 1st. BahaCon is August 8th to the 10th. So,
Oh, it's August 8th. Okay, gotcha.
yeah.
All right.
So you still have time. You still have time.
And
Yeah,
then on
we
the
still
Sunday
do.
morning, we have a couple more speakers and then a boat cruise for everybody, including the
Yeah.
speakers. Yeah.
Oh, that's
I
fun.
I booked the boat cruise, but I ended up skipping it. I got a little homesick, so I decided to like just leave early and drive home. But it's a 3-hour drive for me approximately. So
That's not too bad.
yeah, no, it's not too bad. And I've also been like trying to get Secular Rarity to join us. So I told SR, I says, if you land in Toronto, I'll pick you up and I'll drop you back off in Toronto after to fly out if you need to.
I'm
so,
sure he can. I'm sure he can work it out.
Yeah, well, we'll see. He's got time still.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Hopefully, get a lot of visitors.
It's definitely becoming a growing concern very, very quickly. And I think that's pretty cool. I'd kind of like, yeah, I want to support it as much as I can. So I'm going to do this live stream this year, and hopefully that becomes a big deal that, we can help promote BahaCon and all the content creators, including myself. And,
Yeah.
someday I'd like to do NahaCon right here in Niagara. That would be awesome.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen quite a few of them coming up in different places. I know there's going to be one in Chicago, then there's one in Florida that I saw. St. Andrews was going to be on it. I think it's in March.
Yeah.
Like all these atheist conventions or like secular humanist conventions. I think it's pretty awesome that they're all rising up and setting up these events to bring people together in different areas. We don't really have one here in Texas. I looked, and that's what I was looking up. Like I was trying to see if there was any close by us, and I think that was how I came
How
across BAHACON
how
the first
far is the
time.
Free Thought Library for you? Have you ever been to like a live taping of the Atheist Experience?
Oh yeah, we've been.
Yeah,
It's Austin's like 2.5 hours from us.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah, we've been to a couple of them. We saw like the Truth Wanted live Halloween last year. We were the only ones there. And watching the live taping because they didn't have an audience because they had like the whole library set up and like a Halloween
With a campfire.
campfire
Yeah, it
thing.
was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty fun. Yeah, but we went to the whole weekend that they had with Forrest Valkai, and they had like pretty much everybody that's a host there. Secular Rarity was there too. That's why I got to meet him in person. Um, and it was so much fun, and like all of these events that bring not just the hosts but like the community that follows the hosts. It actually makes people
Groupies.
feel like more part of the
Yeah,
community. Yeah,
groupies.
the groupies, exactly. All of us groupies there.
But it's amazing how accepting everybody is. Everybody's so friendly. Nobody seems like, even like the people that are the YouTube stars for their community, they're just like normal people. They talk to you just like you're on the same
Yeah.
level as them.
Yeah. Like I said, I've been in entertainment most of my life, and it's always surprising. Doesn't matter how big of a famous star you meet, they're just normal people. Like, um,
Yeah, like Forrest Valkai, he just sat there and talked to my 13-year-old about like some joke he had made on the show and about like geology, and then my kid came and told him a joke about it, and he was just laughing and like talking back and forth to him, and I was like, that's cool. Like you can tell he's a teacher, like the way he
yeah,
was talking to a kid, just like it was just normal person, like really cool.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean
yeah,
it makes the community grow better for sure.
yeah, yeah. I've met a few celebrities in my day, and they're all just like totally chill. I mean, they live unrealistic lives, but they are still just like normal people.
Yeah, when it comes down to it.
Yeah. There was
And
a sound studio at our shop. That's the Sony soundstage. So like the artists on the Sony label would come and rehearse for their shows and stuff. And the police were scheduled to do like a reunion tour. So the police were there rehearsing in 1 week, and like they have their own chef who comes with a kitchen that we actually have to like unload off a truck and set up for them and everything. So like they have their own chef and everything. But my job for the week was basically just to hang out with Sting all week and pay attention. So basically, if Sting said something, I had to make sure it was provided.
It
So like,
happened. Wow.
yeah, so they'll all be sitting at the table eating, and they'll be like, "Justin, come eat," and you're like, "Here, here, here," and it's weird because your boss is over there, but the client is here telling you to sit down and eat.
and if they ask you,
The
you
boss is
gotta.
like, I'm not paying you to sit and eat with this guy.
Hey,
Like,
he asked
so
you,
it's
right?
like, oh man, anyways, then you eat, and then you hear them all be like, man, it would be really cool if we could see a football game. And it's like, okay, I know what that means. I got to go on the roof, get the satellite dish from that side of the building and bring it over here and run a line so that they can watch the football game. And then that's what I would do.
So whatever they needed, make it happen.
Yeah, just whatever they need, just make it happen. But they're so casually just hanging around on their plastic tables with their crappy chairs, eating their French fries like everyone else. The only difference was it was made by their private chef, which is just weird.
That's so true. All right, guys, we're over 2 hours now.
All
This
right, I'm
has
paid by the
been
hour.
such an amazing, yeah. So should we go 30 more minutes? No, okay, I'm joking.
I'll bill
This has
you.
been like an amazing conversation. This was so much fun. I'll pay you back later. we'll talk rates after the show.
That's been great.
Anything?
Great discussing these topics with both you guys. Just to be able to get an insight into to what you guys experience on the other side of the border. Right north of us. It's I think so many Americans probably have the ideal that they have for Canada is like from so much rhetoric and misinformation that gets spread here in the U.S.
Yeah.
So it's good to actually be able to talk to two people who live in Canada, who are Canadians, and be able to get your viewpoint.
I'm legitimately concerned about the current state, politically speaking, for what your country is going through and for what it's going to do to other countries. My only hope right now is that it's not going to be as bad as my imagination thinks it's going to be, and that this might just be one of those. You've heard the whole trope before of like sometimes people got to hit rock bottom before they can really start to be their better version of themselves. Maybe this is just going to be America's rock bottom, and then in 4 years you guys will rebuild stronger, better, and faster.
But sadly, I feel like this is the second time that we're hitting rock bottom. We didn't learn from the first time we hit rock bottom.
The first time was more of a joke. It was like it was a soft it was a soft start. It was kind of like he wasn't great, but he could have done so much worse.
Yeah.
And the proof in that is the fact that Biden was able to fix it and make it one of the best times in American history in just 4 years, right?
Yeah.
So
well, I hope you're right. I hope you're right on that analogy.
Yeah, I'm just we got to try to be a little positive about it, right?
Yeah.
It's scary shit right now. He's not even been in office over a week, and the amount of destruction he's already caused.
I know, like every morning I will wake up and be like, "There's no way that anything that happens today could be worse than what he did yesterday." And then you're like, "Oh, you put the news on, and you're like, oh, never mind."
Yeah. Luckily, there appears to still be some guardrails in place, so hopefully. Yeah,
those guardrails are not removed. Yeah.
Well,
it's good to know that you guys care for us, though, at least.
I mean, the removing birthright to the immigrants, for example, that got blocked and stuff.
Yeah.
All I'm hoping is that we can avoid any violence. That's all. If the guardrails can prevent Trump from starting or picking any fights, then when he's out in 4 years, perfect, good. Because if he can start a fight or a war with anybody, he can just declare himself a wartime president and never leave.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he already ran this term basically telling people that, this is, if they voted for him, this would be the last time that they would have to vote for him, basically.
The Christians, I love the Christians. Vote for me. You'll never have to do it again.
Vote again. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Do you ever like look down south and be like, maybe we should build that wall over here?
No, because that would be so sad. We have the largest undefended border on the planet. Man, I don't want to lose that.
That's so true. And I mean, it is pretty sad to think that you will deny assistance to any kind of human being that needs it. That you'll be like, nah, you're just.
Have you seen pictures of the Canadian-American border?
I have not.
You should Google images of the Canadian-American border through the woods.
Yes, it's just like a open.
Somebody goes through and actually mows a line
between the two tree lines. I've seen it. Yeah,
it's awesome. Okay. There's a job that's going to be lost if this goes down. That's what I'm saying. Somebody who's the guy who mows it is going to lose his job.
Poor guy. Oh man, that's so funny. All right, guys. So let's see. I think we already posted down the links of where to find you. Justin as SkepticSpin, and Jason pretty much in all the social medias.
Yeah. Next week I'll have a video coming out on the top 5 Christian Christian things they used to do that they don't do so much anymore, or something like that. Like Christian traditions that they don't follow anymore.
Oh, that's another one
That
with
should be good.
secular
with
rarity,
That's
right?
Yeah, I'm gonna let them out of the box, and there's another video coming.
Nice. Just for a
And
little
then
bit.
the most exciting thing, the thing that I've been waiting for so long, and probably the highlight of my 2025, is going to be happening tomorrow, where I'm going to be on Bad Science Sunday with Maya Atkinson.
Ah, nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah,
I was on there. Yeah, they're awesome, man.
Yeah,
They're
I
awesome. That
know
was
you were on
so
there.
much
I told
fun.
her, I was like, you got to do AJ. I'll show you my
Yeah.
DMs. I'm the one. I literally was like, oh yeah, I totally sanctioned AJ. You got to get her on.
Yeah, I think I was in the chat when you and Sarah were telling her, and I was like, yeah, like, because I followed her for a while, and like, she's one of those people that you kind of like look up to, and you're like, well, I wish I could be on her channel, but you never like have the guts to ask.
She
Yeah.
is so funny and so great. And
Uh,
Tapioca Weasel is a character.
oh my
And
god. And them
it's
together like hilarious. They have like a whole dynamic.
yeah.
Like she
Um,
kicks him out of the screen and
yeah, so I
it's
like
just
literally
so
told my
funny.
wife, I'm like, Sunday night I'm staying up late. I'm gonna be on Bad Science Sunday, and I'm
Oh, so it's
sorry.
this
I'm
Sunday,
sorry
right?
in advance.
Alright, I'm gonna put it on my calendar so I won't forget to watch it.
Yeah, I'm so
Sundays are
excited.
busy. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gonna be cool. I'll watch it too. For
I got
sure.
the little message from her, like, what do you want to do? What do you want to talk about? And I'm like, surprise me. Like, I'm just so pumped.
Nice. That's awesome. Alright, so everybody check it out. I think it's okay, I don't know what time it's for you guys. It will be like
9 East. It's 9
8:30
Eastern, so
Central. Okay,
it'll be 8
alright,
Central.
gotcha. Yeah, I think it was when I went on it was like 8:30 Central or something like that. Alright. Yeah, I mean if everybody goes to Maya Atkinson's, let me see, I'm gonna type it and then put it on the screen so people can see the name. Alright. But she spelled it correctly. So that's her channel, and Bad Science Sunday is so much fun. You're gonna have so much
Yeah,
fun.
it's my must-watch Sunday show. Every night, Sunday night, I put that on and go to bed and listen and
Nice.
laugh and watch.
Yeah, that's cool. I always do the ACA shows on Sundays, like the Atheist Experience and Talk Hidden. But I also host their after shows on Discord. So I usually do that. I think this Sunday might be Secular Rarity on one of them. Probably on AXP, I'm thinking.
Yeah, that's my
So,
2025 goal right there. I want to be on like an Atheist Experience or a Line episode. That's what I'd like to get to.
well, okay, here's how to get started on there. You have to get started on Truth Wanted. I'm gonna
Sure.
talk to them about it.
Yeah.
All right. I'm
Put
gonna
in the word. Put in the word for him.
send yeah, I got are you familiar with Chris Mallard from the Damn Network?
No.
Okay, he does like a morning show, an atheist morning show. He's pretty funny, and he used to be an actor. Well, he's an actor, so he's like in an entertainment business. And I'll send you the link to his channel later. Um, but yeah, he wanted to be on there too, and I sent him the information to get him on Truth Wanted, and he was on there a couple weeks ago. Super fun. Yeah,
I'm doing
so
a
if you
couple
get on
episodes
there,
of Skeptic Haven in the next 2 months as well. So
oh, that's
February,
fun.
I'll be on Skeptic Haven, and then again in March, yeah, with Neil.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they always have so many cool people on there.
Yeah, I'm having more fun coming to like other people's platforms than I am doing on my own, frankly.
But I was really intimidated at first. I like my very first live show was Truth Wanted, and it was a call-in show. So I was like, "Holy shit! Like, what am I doing?" I was so nervous. I was sweating the whole time. Nobody could
She
see it,
did
obviously,
great though.
but I
She
was
did
like,
great.
"Yeah," but I love this so much, and then I was like, "I want to do more." So
I'm
yeah.
actually more nervous the smaller the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an opposite. I've been in front of an audience my whole life, like, and the bigger the audience, the more electrified I get, the more energized I get. The smaller and the more intimate, the more quiet I'll get.
I can see that makes sense. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You feed
a
off the
party,
crowd when you're more
like
people.
a house party.
You're just wild, huh?
I'm in a chair in a corner, just
okay.
yeah. Put me
The
on a
awkward
stage
guy.
in front of 10,000 pairs of eyes that I've never seen before. No problem. Just give me the mic and I'll talk for 6 hours.
Nice.
Yeah, I was surprised myself when I organized the March for Science protest here in Houston when Trump had the first presidency, and we got like, I think he said it was like 15,000 people in the crowd, and I had to speak in front of them, and I was like, I had never spoken in front of a crowd before, and somehow I did it, and I have no idea how I did that, but it was pretty fun. It was fun, yeah.
My biggest
Yeah.
crowd so far was the Goodwill Games or something. There was a big junior Goodwill Games or something happening in Windsor. Windsor was hosting, and there was probably like 20 or 30,000 athletes from around the world, and we were doing the big party at the last day or whatever after the closing ceremonies. Yeah, that was probably my biggest single crowd.
Wow.
The crowd I'll never forget was the Girl Scouts crowd. Oh my good, because they did a huge event for Girl Scouts across the planet. So there was Girl Scouts, I guess, is a global thing, not just an American thing.
Yeah.
So they had Girl Scouts from like Germany and Italy and all came to Canada. There was 400 girls, and I was the DJ for the big party at the end of the night. And like, they had never seen anything like the show we put on before. So for them, it was like, they wanted autographs and everything, and I'm like, really? I'm not that big a deal. You don't.
They thought you were some famous person.
Yeah, like one girl's, can you sign my shoe? It's like, no, your mom will kill you. You don't need my name on your shoe. Like, I'm not Tom Cruise here. It's like, but it was. I'll never forget that particular event. But anyway,
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. We got the Maya Atkinson link. Thank
There
you,
you go.
PC.
Pragmatic.
Of course
Awesome.
we did. Pragmatic Crystal.
Always there.
Yeah.
I told Pragmatic Crystal they'll be my very first mod, and I kept my word.
Yeah. You can't even be a mod on my channel unless Pragmatic Crystal says so.
She has
Wait.
pragmatic.
One of my greater, my best YouTubing friends at this moment in time is probably Mark Reed. You know, like if there was somebody I would say is my bro, it's Mark Reed.
He was on last weekend. Did you watch it?
Oh, Mark Reed.
I did.
Okay.
I did. And
Cool.
I hate that you had the two smarter, better looking guys on the week before us. But whatever. But even he's not a mod on my channel because PC hasn't said it was okay yet. So.
Oh wow.
And even he's been like, "Why am I not a mod on your channel?" And I'm just like,
you need
decision.
permission.
Sorry, bro.
Permission from the
You,
boss.
you're not qualified, my man.
Right.
It's all right. I'm not a mod on his channel either, so it's okay.
Fair enough. All right, guys, we're gonna let you go, and I promise to have you back someday. This was awesome, amazing talk. You guys super knowledgeable, and I love the conversation. Hopefully, everybody. There's the link for the the show.
He's underpaid.
So let me see real quick. I'm gonna let everybody know what we have coming up. So we have.
I think Friday is Rogue Show, right?
Oh yeah, this Friday the 31st we have Rogue Show, who is actually the person that called the show when I was on Truth Wanted, my very first live show. And I talked to him and then talked to him on Discord, and we started chatting. He's very cool and likes to talk about politics. So we are gonna talk about making America great again. Then Secular Rarity is gonna be on February 8th, and making his announcements, and talking about whatever comes up. And then February 15th we have Kelly Laughlin, who is with the atheist community of Austin mostly. It's his birthday, and we're gonna celebrate celebrate him, like he's another trip around the sun, fun stuff. And then it's not on my channel yet, but like I said, we're gonna have Brentley from Punk Apostate. Apostate Punk, right? I'll probably say it
Yeah.
wrong. And yeah, so he's gonna be on the 22nd of February, and I'm working on having Objectively Dan sometime to talk about veganism, and that might be like a weekday because of his work, and he's getting married too soon. So, but yeah, we got a full schedule, and I'm hoping to make some pre-recorded videos in between all that, but can't promise.
Well,
I'm
and you're
sure
gonna
I'll
be
work
on.
on it.
I think you're gonna be on Ethan's show Tuesday as well, right? Coming up.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot about that. This Tuesday coming up, I'm gonna be on your your friendly neighborhood atheist. All right, Ethan Michael. Are you guys familiar with him?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So he's recently came back on YouTube after a pretty long break, and we're trying to get him back out there. Yeah.
Well,
So
I'll have to
he
get the pair of you over on SkepticSpin someday too, and you can take on my triple take tableau, do some YouTube short debunks.
Yeah, that would be fun. That would be fun. Yeah, so on Tuesday on Ethan's channel, I'm actually gonna be on with Secular Rarity as well. It's gonna be the three of us.
Okay.
So that's
Nice.
gonna be super fun. Yeah. So that's what I have lined up for now. Oh, and the Apostate Sisters.
Oh, they're
Nancy
so
and
fun.
Fatty. Yeah, I'm gonna be on their show. I forgot the date. I know I booked it end of February, I think. Okay, sometime. I'll put it up at some point when I remember the date. Yeah, but so busy, busy, busy. I'm loving it. I'm enjoying it. And so, yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you,
Thanks for
both of
having me
you,
on.
Jason, Justin. Yeah, so much. So cool. All right. And we'll see you guys next time.